So, we're live. Got to start by saying Happy New Year, one and all. Happy New Year, everyone. I can't believe it. It doesn't feel like New Year exactly. It's January the 2nd, and yeah, it's been a time. It's so funny. It's been like 2 weeks since I've been in the driver's seat running these shows and getting back into it. It's getting the headset, getting all the wires arranged on the desk, and it's like an operating theater in here. I kid you not. Okay. I want to say hi to you in the chat, but I'll just leave this on the screen for the time being. Where to begin? We've got Curtis and Raymond. They were having a debate earlier on, which is great. 121 click bezel. Megan, why are you awake at the moment on a Sunday? Eric, welcome. And so many. Rocco, Hans, let's see who else. Paul, welcome. Anyone else? Mason, Thomas, thank you for the super chat, man. Jeez. And again, New Year, everyone. I'm going to definitely talk about that for a sec. Mason, Horror, Mirror, Ashley, Maynard, Mr. C, thank you all for being here and for joining the show. We're going to get right into it because it's going to be a different take to the usual approach. Start by saying this is what I am drinking this evening. Now, it's been a good time. I've put a bit of money into different whiskeys to sample them. Coming out of the Southern Hemisphere where it's all wine focused, I thought, have to... Can you hear me? Please tell me you can hear me. Comment 1 in the chat, please. I think I see one already from Horror Mirror. Can you hear me okay? Good way to start. So coming out of the Southern Hemisphere where it's all wine focused, this, I thought, coming to the UK, I need to try out the whiskies. Good, you can hear me? Fantastic. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. The rest of you, Welsh Carl, and so many more. Sean and Neferion and Nick. So trying the different whiskies, I've been able to sample Glenlivet's, Glenmorangie, Glen Keith, and a couple of others, Glenfiddich, some special ones thanks to Eric. And this has been quite a surprise. It's called Highland Park, and it's a really old maker. They're obviously based in Scotland. I think they were started in like 1798 or whatever else. Sometimes it's nice to try the outliers, and this is peculiar. They call it Viking Honor. Okay, sounds a bit peculiar, but if you want a smoky whiskey that is so smooth, it blew me away. It also won an award this year, so worthwhile. That's in my my loving cup this evening, along with everything else. And this show is going to be a bit different to our our usual take on these shows. This is episode 21. Happy New Year again, ladies and gentlemen. Because we are in 2021, it's quite fitting that this is episode 21. And on top of that, last year we had 20 sets of submissions of watches for the show. So multiply that by roughly 100, and there's 2,000 submissions of watches. And the thinking was, well, why not take those 2,000 and trim them down to 100? Excuse me, 100. It was a bit difficult, as we will probably be able to tell. Beautiful photography. We're going to just be talking around these watches. I'm not going to get too deep into the design side of things tonight. It's just going to be us hanging out, chatting about the watches, the gorgeous submissions, bantering away, ask me questions, do the usual, and we can just have a good time. It's going to be a little bit, again, I have to thank you all since last year for sending these in. None of them are current submissions. There are a few from the last show that we had 2 weeks ago, but it's going to be, going to be a blast. So there's more of you here. I don't know where to even start. Mooseman, 12-year-old, 18-year-old bottlings, round bottles, spectacular. I'm so new to this, the hobby. Should I call it the whiskey drinking hobby? I don't think it's very. Try Lagerwöhlen. I can't even. Wolf Rosario. Okay, I've got to get the show rolling again and again. Right. The 100 most outstanding watches of 2021. So technically it's last year's selection of pieces, right? Right, let's get going. So this I just pulled up like not even 3 minutes ago while downing the second coffee of the day. And it was my meager attempt at getting some kind of shot of the Tudor. I think it represents the watch quite well in this lighting. It's very blue scented. There's some natural light coming in. And it looks kind of natural to how you would expect this watch on the wrist in a natural environment. It's very peculiar seeing these watches in promotional images, and they do not always do them justice. I think this is quite true to how the Blackberry 58 Blue works. The bonus is that next to it, the watch that actually was featured on the cover was from James, and it's an original Tudor 9411 I hope I got that one right. But it's the original Snowflake. So I thought, what a good chance of being able to look at both of them in one place, in one setting. And it worked out pretty well. So I've got to get back into the chat and be attentive as much as possible while curious about the new Speedy. Again, tag me in the chat if you want to get my attention a bit quicker. And I hope the microphone's not too close to my face. If you want to get my attention quicker and we can chat about all of this news that's going on. Pretty exciting times thinking that the Speedmaster is going to be getting a 3861 coaxial, but the price of the thing, £7,000, I think, like $8,500. It's sad that Omega is now going the same direction as the bigger names. I guess it was inevitable, and all these prices are just going up and creeping. Dear Artifact, Logan Hall, Valeria, I think I said hi to you already. And everyone's talking about PT and all the different blends of whiskeys. And it's, yeah, Sam Ray, good to have you here. Now, Dr. Bob, James, yeah, I can't even start. Mark, the chat's going ballistic. So you'll probably find that your submissions might not have made it into the selection. I was very picky with the watches that came up. Mainly because they're the best photos, they represent the watches the best, and that was the idea at least. It's not in any kind of particular format. It was just which one stood out the best and how does it represent the watch the best in its setting. And also try to focus on wrist shots, not so much watches being just left alone standing on a table. So there are a few exceptions, but it's going to be a good time. The variety is just as incredible. There's about 100 and I think it's about 110 if I remember right. Okay, so I see Junior Johnson joining us and Micah or Mika, good to have you here. Right, so this Tudor, classic Tudor, very interesting seeing it next to the modern take. Also good when we look at things like the hands. They've kept the hands pretty correct to its time. We just missed the Snowflake dial, you know, we just missed it. And to all of you who are joining again, Happy New Year. I hope you had an excellent time. Because I decided to do it on the 2nd, I thought it would be a good way of you enjoying the, well, resting your hangovers, should I say. You can listen to me lull you to sleep. Anyway, Nefarion says, I will be profoundly disappointed if my wrist shots didn't make the top 100. Yeah, I'm afraid, Nefarion, I don't know if you did make it. I was very anal with the choices of watches that came through. And they're not all high horology, I can tell you that much. Lots of them are entry level, which is great. And it just goes to show that it doesn't take a super high-end watch to be the premiere of the show. So it's going to be fun. There was a question from Serda asking, is that the Pelagos or the 58? This is the 58. Blackberry 58 that was released this year, right? Was it this year? I don't know. And I'm here to see an Explorer 1. Oh, I was quite harsh on that watch. Okay, let's move on next. So James, this was I can't remember when these were sent in. Some were 3 months ago, some were 3 weeks ago. So you'll get it as we go through. 73 Math. I don't know if he's watching, but this is one of the first. I just absolutely love it. I think it's the only Zenith that we're featuring, and it became the cover photo of a show. Oh yeah, James telling me that James, this is your submission. It's a 7021. Oh, I'm a moron, right? I was close. No cigar. Thank you for that. So this is the reference 7021, not a 9411/0. I'm guessing it's an earlier generation. It's one of the first, like the 7016. Don't even get me started. Okay. Love this watch, Panda. I'd love to get some hands-on time with one of these to experience it and the size and all the details. But again, just the photography, it's going to be very difficult to be particular with it because the photos are just beautiful. All of them are beautiful in one way or another. So you're just going to see that as a consistent thing all the way around. Gunther saying, Happy New Year, love the channel. Oh, it's a pleasure, absolute pleasure. I hope you enjoy just sitting back and listening to me drone around whatever these pieces are. And we were talking about the Explorer earlier from Ant. That was, yeah, I put that video out a week ago. I got some really mean and nasty comments. I guess I deserve them. You know, having an opinion is difficult on this platform half the time. I was called some horrible names like entitled millennial. And someone else mentioned that I must spend more time in a third world country. Oh, the irony. But it was a good time. I enjoyed making the video. It was kind of deep. Maybe I'll do more of those in the future given the chance. But getting into the design side of things more this year, that's the idea. Come next week, I'm doing a whole segment on the Speedmaster and the Daytona. If they were to be combined, what would the result be? A lot of fun. A lot of fun. Entitled Millennial. Yeah, I mean, it was horrible. Really hurt my feelings. Right, 73 MAF. Beautiful watch. We're moving next to Adam. Funnily enough, Speedmaster. So I think this is one of the only Speedmasters that we're actually featuring as well. And the news is this has just been discontinued, and yeah, there's all kinds of talk about when this new one's being released. In fact, Showcase Watches, I don't know if you're here with us, Showcase, but you were talking about the Speedmaster today. I dropped into your video that you posted today about the prediction of when this watch is going to be released. He believes from a source that the new model is going to be released the 5th of January, I believe. And yeah, it's exciting. They aren't going to change much. As far as I know, they're going to be adjusting the sub-dials. They're going to be lowering them down. There's going to be a dot over 90. The proportions and everything remain the same. There's going to be an Applied Omega logo, 3861 caliber. So they're just updating the watch. They're making it look a bit more modern. Again, what made this photo stand out to me is that it's just such a true representation of this watch. No poly watch on the crystal. It's been used. It's a Hesalite crystal, obviously. Zulu strap on an olive drab finish at the beach. I think he mentioned, when this is from Adam, when he sent it in saying that this was his beta watch, basically. He wears this day in, day out. Excellent representation. And that is, yeah, and a step dial. Yeah, Sean mentioning step dial on these. So it's going to be a bit lower down. It's pretty exciting. I do like the idea of how they're blending things. Design Atelier also did a video about a leak on the new Seamaster that's going to be released. Seamaster 41, the 300M. And they're doing a couple of other modifications. I don't think we're going to be looking at one for the show, though. Anyway, moving to Alfredo. Now, I don't know why I featured this. It's just the movement. We have another Ming later on, and I just thought we don't get to see Ming movements very often. And I mean, some of these photos date back to like 8 months ago. So it's nice, waking up to seeing all of this again. Yeah, it's a joy. It's an absolute joy. And I'm missing you all in the chat, as used and abused. Yep, that's for sure, Ashley. Yeah, again, tag me in the chat if you want to get my attention again, and I will I'll be able to read you a lot easier. Rocco saying entitled. It was called Hard Work, actually. No, it's okay. People are entitled to their own opinions. Let's turn that one around. The amount of hours you put into writing out videos and editing and video recording, there's only so much you can take in from a 2-line comment at the end of the day, right? But it's all up to someone else. I mean, you can't not bash a watch and not get feedback that's in the opposition. But it was a good time. Hell, I love the experience of the watch. I really love the experience. It's not like it's a watch that I hate vehemently. It's just a watch that I wouldn't own, sadly. And I was trying to get my head around how I felt about the watch at the end of the day. There's the 36mm reference that I need to look at, and so much more. You can't take it to heart, Hans. Of course you can't. Yeah, I need to spend more time in a third world country. That really made me laugh. Anyway, Megan's saying the movement's great. It is stunning. It is really beautiful. Is this a twin barrel by the looks of things? It is. Centralized. Ming have made some amazing stuff. They've been working on a diver recently, a dive watch that became very popular, and they virtually sell out the second that they bring new pieces to the market, and for good reason. I think there's such a good design language that they share here. I think only very later on, by the time we get to S, will we see, I think it's a Ming copper featured. No, Mark, I think it's good to address it, though. I mean, it's something that happens, and the emails that I get sometimes, holy smokes, you just don't need to put your energy into if you don't like the stuff, just close the page. That's all I'm saying at the end of the day. You don't need to go balls to the wall mad. Anyway, Ming, gorgeous movement. I thought it would be nice to feature this. And we're moving next to Alon. We're still on letter A, excuse me. Now, this we featured a couple of times during the show. My magic mouse is acting up. Hold on a moment. Disconnecting cables. I'm not getting any force feedback from the magic mouse. Hold on a second. That's not good. No, nothing. Does that mean that the magic mouse is broken? I don't know. Right. I'm just going to have to play by feel today. Right on. So Alon sends us a 1969 first generation Omega Flightmaster. And how can you not enjoy this as a representation of a watch that's experienced a lot of wear and tear over its life? Alon's a pilot, and he travels all over the world. And we can just see that this dial has seen lots of water ingress, I guess. I don't know how the dial can go this kind of color. It is sort of like a camel brown in the beginning anyway, right? It's not white as it is, but just loved it. And that's that representation of 1970s design. Beautiful. And this is what we'll be seeing, that the photography, the detail, the focal blur and all those aspects just cleans it up so nicely. So that's what we're going to be doing, talking around all these peculiar watches, lots of pieces that we haven't seen for a long time. Right. Megan says it's nice. And yeah, I got to scroll up and catch up with everyone here. Mason saying, you did not connect with the Explorer 1. Simple as. Yeah, of course. At least you had enough time with it to discover that. Many people don't get the chance before they buy one. And that's the thing. I mean, I feel so privileged in that sense to have had the watch for well over 3 months. The owner was great. And he just said, wear it, enjoy it, do what you want with the piece. And it really did shape my opinion around the watch. Anyway, enough Explorer talk. I think there's one Explorer featured, and it's a 112. Come on, wake up. 112470. More coffee to the brain. More coffee to the brain. Soda saying, I just wanted to show my support, but it says super chat and super sticker not available in my country. That's okay, Soda. Thank you. By all means, just tag me in the chat. Ask me a question. Do whatever you like. Enjoy yourselves. Kick back. I hope you're drinking something great wherever you are in the world. I'm on the third coffee, halfway through it already. Bear in mind that the first 20, 25, half an hour of the show, I'm trying to get this caffeine to the brain. All right, it's awesome. It's a really awesome watch. And the fact that a pilot wears this watch, as Wristwatch Experience says, I mean, it shows a true enthusiast, right? And it's going to get better. Trust me. American Jedi. I think this was one of the first submissions that we ever had. This is his Hummer at the back in the snow. It might have been like at the close of, or the beginning of this year. And it's a JLC NSA insertion. We love these compressor cases. They are just so awesome. I think it's actually a Memovox. It is. It's a Memovox. I love it. I've spoken about this watch before. One that really catches my attention. And again, how can you not like this as a piece in its natural habitat, hardcore setting? I love the colors, everything. That's great. And if you're saying, may I suggest Red Bull? I'm not a fan of energy drinks. So it's just never worked with me. It upsets my stomach, makes my brain go mad, eyes go mad. Somehow a little bit of alcohol and coffee just blends so nicely. It mellows me out. That's another thing. Don't want to go completely ballistic and start like, I don't know, quoting bizarre things and losing my mind. Edwin's saying, I passed on the Explorer for a Speedy 3 years ago, no regrets. It's a touch for everyone. What everyone feels like at the end of the day. There are so many devoted Explorer owners, which was really great to read in the comments of the video too. Lots of Explorer owners would comment on how, why am I still talking about the Explorer? I don't know. Mr. C, $2. Good grief. I mean, last week it was 10. Why are you doing this? $1 is the way, Mr. C. Thank you so much. Don't worry about the haters, even God has them. I mean, everyone has arseholes at the end of the day, right? So just like opinions. Happy New Year, yes. Giuseppe saying, drinking my coffee latte now, 20 past 2 in Vancouver. It's going to be good. It's going to be a good time. Just enjoy the spontaneity and the variety of things. It's going to get better. All of these photos are just beautiful. Okay, love this watch. Love the balance, the dates. It definitely is a divisive piece. I think they came out in the early, I don't know, 2000s, about 2006-ish, kind of around there. And yeah, they're great. There's a whole load of pieces in this range. It's really nice to see the JLC. I mean, this was really them at the peak of their sports watch category. Now they don't use these compressor cases anymore, sadly. It would be nice to see a resurgence of these one way or another. Definitely a polarizing design for sure. And Megan's saying that your dad has one. Yeah, I mean, they really do stand out. I remember you didn't like the Explorer. Yeah, I said it wasn't for me, sadly. The 39 wasn't for me. Right, moving on. Now, Amin, I don't know if Amin is watching, but he sent these in months ago. Months and months. Must have been the beginning of the year. And I saved 3 of them because they are some of the best shots of these pieces that we are going to see. I think most of you might remember what we saw. He has a Moser, he has an Omega, and just the way these watches are captured in the light. This being a Unissi Nadan Perpetual Ludwig. We've got an offset big date, day date, and of course the year at the base here, number 65, 150th anniversary. It really does sum up. I don't know if it speaks to how we would expect, at least not, I mean, it's brand image today. I don't know how old this watch is exactly, but you know, we know their history about being these marine chronometers and navigational instruments. I always enjoy a watch, especially a dress watch, that's able to add some complexity to their dials. And in this case, with the stepping on the lugs, and it's really cool. I don't know if Russell is watching us, but he might seriously enjoy this if he's there in the background. He loves his Iwc Engineer pieces. Valeria is saying, fine, I talked you into it. Special occasion. Oh, it's bad. It's bad, I tell you. It is like, what, 10:30 this side of the world where we are. So, I mean, might as well enjoy it. And one way to kick the hangover, right? A beautiful piece from him in all the little details and textures. This is something we're going to see with all of the submissions that came in. We've been running the show for like over 20 minutes already, and we're still on A. Now, this is one of the only Moses we're featuring, I think. I think there's one more. Yes, there is one more. But this being it's an Endeavor, right? I can never get these names. It's a Moser Endeavor, and this photo, again, I shouldn't need to talk up these photos. Just know that they're all brilliant one way or another. And just the pairing of the colors, the champagne dial, rose gold with this brown strap. It's what I love when I get to see a material celebrated. Like, I'd imagine this is rose gold in this light. Maybe it's yellow. Could be wrong. But the way that this strap pairs with it tones it down so much. It's not in your face. It's not brash. There's something about pairing the right strap with the right color. And this, to me, it just sings. That's what I loved so much about it. As far as celebrating the watch too, I mean, it's almost 10:10 in the photograph. You get perfect balance. You get to see just how well these quarters are accentuated on the dial, and so on, so on. I could just talk about it for days. Their design language, Moser, is moving up and up. Lots of channels are talking about Moser, and they're getting a lot more attention for the right reasons, I think. Who knows if they're going to be going up in value so much as just going up in popularity. But I mean, when we talk about a brand that's been able to, a Phoenix brand, we call them, right? They've resurged, and they're going into the sports category now with the Streamliner, and they're doing so well. I think we're featuring a Streamliner later on. Beautiful. Right, I'm missing so many. So they're saying it's 1:23 in the morning. Again, I can only really catch the chats that have my name tagged in them because it goes a bit ballistic. James, welcome. Good to have you here, sir. What are you doing up at 9:30 in the morning on a Sunday? I don't know. You guys are just too dedicated to the cause. I tell you what, it's great. We're gonna have a good time. It looks like a Calatrava, and says you do share similar motifs, right, with the leaf hands and the quarters and everything there. But stunning. It's the case shape that I think really stands out the most. You can identify it as Moser just by looking at the lugs and everything there. The crown is crown shaped. The crown is crown shaped. Sean says, I agree. I do agree. Right, I've got to move on. Next from Amin, last from Amin is an Aquaterra. I've got to get more coffee into the brain. It's not good. It's not good. Also need to mellow out with some whiskey too. This is a gorgeous example of the modern Aquaterra. Two-tone, rubber strap. These are getting very popular. They still are. So they're asking, is this gold? Yes. The Moser is gold. I think it's rose gold. James mentioning Happy New Year to all. This is this year needs to be a good year for us, right? We need to, and I think I mentioned in the community post or at the top of this show before starting it earlier this week, saying that I hope this year brings you all the happiness, joy, success that you deserve after what last year was defined as, right? And I hope last year I was able to entertain you at least a little bit. That was the aim, at least. And now it's trying to work around how to continue to be perpetual in this game. So this watch has done a lot of things well. I think, I might be wrong, but I think that the elements like the batons, the hands are all painted black. Much easier to read on this dial instead of high polished edges. And at the 6 o'clock position, we have the date, horizontal lines that run across the dial instead of verticals, which is something that we know was very common with the older variants. And they're just doing some good stuff. I'm enjoying the things like integrated end link into the rubber strap. and look forward to sharing a video about the Speedmaster and the Daytona next week. I just finished editing up the recording today, and it was good fun getting deep into the design aspects for a change and splicing elements together. The authors are always up early, Megan says. I tell you, on a Sunday, though, on a Sunday, it's a joy. It's an absolute joy having you all here. Yusuf saying you have to play with the Explorer 2 sometimes. Yes, 1655 on the wrist. Well, that is an absolute dream watch for me, Yusuf. I have been able to handle, luckily and fortunately, been able to handle the 42 polar and the 40 mil polar. The 40 mil is a gem of a watch. It is a great piece to try on. I hope to get one into review, actually, if I'm lucky. But yeah, Explorer 2s, I mean, the GMT complication on top of just a simple dial layout would be a good time. 1655, absolute dream. I've spoken about that watch way too much in my life. Mr. C, what are you doing? Merry Christmas. No, absolute pleasure. Well, it's not exactly. Merry New Year. Excuse me. I've got to hit some more whiskey. $10, Mr. C. Come on. Come on, Mr. C. Give me the $1. That's your call. That's your calling sign, right? And Junior, everyone's else saying, Michelle, welcome. Right, I got to carry on. Got to carry on through. We watch guys saying, great shot of the Aquaterra. Love the dial. Looks more eggshell white than yeah, does. Okay, got a motor. Also, another detail I like what they've done here is just added a bit more to the face of the watch. It's not just plain batons and everything there. They've also included the numbers on the dial, so it's a bit easier to read at a glance. We're able to see that it's half past, that it's 22, and yeah, sharp, very clean. It's beautiful. These watches that we're going to be seeing, all of them, the photographs speak for themselves. I could just run through it like a slideshow and read the chat. Mr. C, I see another one. Thank you, Mr. C. Really, really thank you. I want to share more of your watches in the future. I know you have a great collection. Dog Bear Global, wishing you a happy and healthy Prosperous. Yes, you and everyone else, absolutely. And Doc Baps asking, any preference on positioning of the date, 3 o'clock verse 6? If it's done right, it doesn't matter where it is. In the case of, I mean, what's a good example? I think what they've done here is excellent. If I had to make an improvement, I would add some kind of element to highlight that there is a baton here, just to keep the balance a little bit better. I don't like that there's, if you squint your eyes, there's almost like a negative space between the date and everything else. So given the chance, I would add a little baton here. We look at the 15400 now. This comes in from Andrew. I mean, how brilliant is that for execution? You can't go wrong with this. At the 3 o'clock position, black date window, it's out of the way. There's also a baton there to accent that point. It looks so symmetrical for what it is. I do also love, I think we did feature in the beginning from 73 MAF. Geez, we really have been going slow on these. Let's see, El Primero at the 6 or at the 430 position, right, between the 4 and the 5. I also think this is a great way of distributing the date. It's not there unless you notice it. There are a few brilliant examples of watches that manage to pull off a date without you seeing it there. There's so many factors. I think color matching is important, but also including some kind of emphasis that there is, in fact, a numeral or a baton there on the side. Yeah, that's my take. God, that's what you see what happens when the coffee kicks in. Half an hour in, the coffee kicks in, my brain is now working. Perry asking, any Grand Seikos? Yes, there are lots of Grand Seikos coming up. Absolute. When we get to B, you'll see one of the most beautiful shots of, I hope. Oh no, where is it? Yes, it's here somewhere. Of a Grand Seiko ceramic GMT. Okay, and more questions coming out. I don't know. Tag me in the chat. I see Thomas, $1 from Mr. C. Technically, that's like, what's £2 in a dollar? It's like, it's close to $5, right? Thank you, Thomas. Again, thank you. I hope you're enjoying yourself. Hope you had a great dinner tonight, Thomas. No need for Cyclops, Michelle. I'm definitely on that side of the fence too. I believe it breaks up the dial. We're going to be seeing a few of them in a moment, though. There's give and take with the Cyclops for sure. Right, next up, this is the same Andrew, and he sends in a gorgeous Polaris. He sent in, should I say. These are so old. These submissions probably came in like 7 months ago, but again, highlights of the streams. These are getting so popular. People are jumping on them. I mean, how can you not enjoy it? And I'm wondering to myself, would I feel differently about this watch next to the Explorer in this arrangement, you know? We're going to be seeing some more Royal Oaks later, don't worry. Valeria, Scotland, thank you again. Glad to have discovered the channel. You know what? All you have to do, at the end of the day, all you can do is just put out work that you think people will enjoy, and hopefully someone does. So thank you. I really do appreciate it, Valeria. And Megan mentioning Royal Oak is always a winner. My sister has a collection, yes. Can't beat the white face in my view. Interesting. If it was me, given the choice, I would be more prone to jumping on the black or the blue face. I do love that the little jumbo, the 15202. We watch guys saying once design cue of the Royal Oak that I think tends to be taken for granted, the shape of the crown and how it integrates. Yes, for sure. I don't know. There are some better shots of a Royal Oak later on, but the hexagonal shape and how it works with the bezel, beautiful, brilliant integration. So yeah, we're looking at this, and the Polaris, it has a compressor style bezel inside there. It's 41 millimeters, I think, blue face. Also enjoy how they've included texture around here. JLC has just brought out a new series of Memovox pieces, I think, and they've done some pretty quirky stuff with how they've arranged their dials in a bit more of a modern way. Great sizes. Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be a good time looking at all of these. You can see that this is JLC just on the offset, which I like a lot. And again, these photographs are incredible. I've been talking for half an hour. I have to move on, or else we're going to be here for hours. Okay, here's one of the first big pieces of the show. And this, again, is old. This comes in from Andy, not Andrew. This is from Andy. And it's a JLC Duometra. I know there are many out there who adore this watch. And if you want something that that represents watchmaking, JLC's variation of watchmaking, this is as good as it gets, I think. Power reserves, just the asymmetry, but also balance between everything there. You've got this double split arrangement. It's beautiful. I could not do this watch justice talking about it. Tim Mosso has done some excellent reviews of this watch on Watchbox. Highly recommend you have a look at the specs and how it works. I mean, he was a big proponent. He owned like 3 of these things, right? Okay. And Freddie's saying, give me a Polaris any day over an Explorer. You know, it does have an X factor in its own category because it's not just another steel sports watch. It has JLC provenance to it. Brilliant watchmaking. And here we have another one. This definitely wasn't planned, but we have 2 JLCs back to back. And don't worry, we're going to have a look at the case back in a moment. Have to. Valeria says, first and maybe last time I sent money on YouTube. That's a pleasure. No, seriously, you don't have to. Don't. Please, if you can't, don't do it. I appreciate it so much, but that's not the purpose of these shows. Really, the purpose of these shows is just to sit back and chill. I mean, it's a Saturday night. We can't exactly go anywhere, so let's just enjoy ourselves, right? Beautiful. Nate's saying it's too busy. I mean, that's another point. It's not the most legible watch in the world. It is hectic for the sake of, you know, it's like many of the big brands trying to prove that they can do better. They can make more. They can do more. And they do sacrifice elements like legibility in those places when they're trying to show off how far they can take watchmaking, you know, exceptionally unique. I love those words. Thank you, Gunther, for that. And of course, we've got to enjoy the movement because, you know, a watch like this needs to be seen at the back. And it's just an absolute work of art. One of my favorite elements when we look at the bridges of pieces is this component here. I don't know why it speaks to me so much, but I love, there's a few pieces out there that do it, where you have these 3 quarters that sit, and it's like it's all been CNC'd. It just reminds me of someone, like a real CAD technician out there that's been able to cut this out properly, and it's all balanced. You know, the spacing between everything's clean. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. It's amazing. Highly recommend you look at the review of this watch just to understand the watchmaking. I've looked at the videos a few times and I still couldn't do it justice. Right. And James mentioning I just can't get into JLC models. I have a couple of them. I see the talking, but the company has too many models and none speak to me personally. I mean, that's the thing. They are for someone out there. They're not as modern. It's funny how they kind of divide themselves. Here we have the Polaris, which looks extremely modern, right? The Duometra, on the other hand, looks like something that could have come out of like the 1910s, 1920s. And it's good. It's good to see variety in this space. I've got to carry on. I mean, geez, like I've been talking for 35 minutes already. Antonio, I featured this because it's a bit of nostalgia for me. This is a Yema Rallygraph chronograph, vintage, coming out of Cape Town, my hometown. And it's always special. It is always special seeing my place in a setting. That's Table Mountain in the background, if those of you have ever been there before or know or don't know. I think it's granite. No, it's sandstone. It's granite. It's Granite Mountain. Oh dear, someone's gonna have to help me. But it's awesome. It's a gorgeous city. That's been my hometown for, well, it was my hometown for 21 years. And Tafelberg, as Eric says, yes. But it's great seeing this watch. I mean, someone in Cape Town, there aren't many watch enthusiasts in Cape Town, I can tell you that much. But then there are some outliers. And here we see, I mean, this is an excellent watch to show that you are an enthusiast, you know. Rallygraph vintage. I didn't get the date. I would imagine it's kind of like late 60s, 68, 69, maybe early 70s. But it's you know, got that Day of the Dead style mask. I think Mario Andretti made these very popular. He was given these after winning races, I think Indy 500s and everything there. Cape Town's a cool place, gotta say. Had an excellent upbringing. Couldn't have asked for a better upbringing, honestly. But yeah, stunning watch, stunning place. I do miss it dearly, especially now when they're having sunsets at like 9 in the evening and it's 30 degrees and it's you have the Pacific, you have the Indian and the Atlantic Ocean right there on your doorstep, and you can choose which beach you want to go to. If you're a surfing nut, you can travel to so many coastlines. Not now, obviously, with what's going on in the world, but yeah, there's lots of freedom there. Gotta say. And Megan saying loves Yammer. Yeah, secret obsession. I mean, this is just it captivates. It really does sum up what this brand is. Funny, I'm looking at the bezel. It looks exactly the same as the Speedmaster. How crazy is that? It looks almost exactly. I mean, the way the 90 is crazy. Okay, I got to move on. Got to keep moving on. Black Bay. I don't know. I mean, I featured the 58 earlier. This is from Anthony. And this was also a very early submission from months and months ago. I see a super chat from Juan. Thank you for joining us, Juan. Don't worry, some of your pieces will be featured. You've only sent in about like 350 of the 2,000 pieces this year, Juan, so I had to feature something. I see Norcar Lane. Welcome. Good having you here. Looks like an original. It is Wristwatch Experience. It's an original Yamaha for sure. Right. So why did I love this shot? I think this was actually a cover photo a couple of months ago. We have olive drab trousers. We have grass. We have olive drab strap. Being the Black Bay GMT, we have, the blue on. You get to see how dark this bezel actually is in real life, in direct light. Stunning. It's kind of like it's more like a Coke bezel than a Pepsi, right? And it's just, again, all of these photos are just clear and concise. They sum up so much about how the watches are best represented in natural lighting. The photography is beautiful. Not going to change. It's throughout the show, you're going to see just gorgeous photographs. Right. I see BDev joining us. Welcome. You're going to be up actually, you're number 3, just in the 3rd place after these next pieces we're looking at now. Okay. Next, we're jumping to Arthur. Why did I feature this? I think it's also another excellent representation of the Aquaterra. What made this such a great submission was this was his first luxury watch. So I think he got it last year. Congratulations, Arthur, if you're watching. Don't know. But also just like how the blue matches the elements on the dial here, at the quarters on his shorts, how the shirt matches the color of the dial itself. And it's just a great photograph. Again, I can't talk about it highly enough. All of these photos are just so clean, crisp. Wisconsin Watch Guy saying that still waiting to see if they do a Black Bay 58 Pepsi. Who knows? I mean, I think that is their clearest. This is going to be the closest they get to making a Pepsi before stepping on the toes of the big brother. I think it's good in a way that they're able to divide themselves from the bigger name. And this is probably the clearest. Having your own color palette, it's a good way. So yeah, Arthur, I love this. Gorgeous shot. Congratulations again. And now we're jumping to Ashley. I think I saw Ashley in the chat, but you were featured. And I think you sent us a Tudor Black Bay a while back, but this really caught my attention, as it should, right? Orient Star. I would swear this is a retrograde, but it's not. It's a Power Reserve. With, again, you might need to help me with the flowers here. They look kind of like leaves, autumn leaves. But I mean, how can you not enjoy a photograph like this? The best of wrist shot week, you can see sometimes bias towards Omega. Trust me, it's going to get worse. There's a lot of them. I do kind of have a soft spot for Omega, as most of you probably know by now. And Mr. C, I don't know what's going on. The chat's going mad. Again, tag me in the chat and I'll be able to get there. Ashley, yeah, Ashton Kushner. That's funny. There was a mention about, I missed it a second ago, Diet Pepsi from Toyota Mo. I do like that expression, diet. We're talking about Tudor. But then, and I don't think you did make the list. No, that's bad. Eh? Again, I really do apologize if you didn't make the list. This was done over the course of like a few days, me sitting down, going through 20 plus folders of submissions and just picking out the ones that caught my eye, whatever else. It's okay, Matt. It's okay, Ant. Don't worry. We're going to be featuring stuff in the future again. It's just this being a summary of last year's best shots that I could find at a glance. Reminds me of Grand Seiko, Doxa mentions. Does in many ways. Orient, great affordable automatic that you can get today. At least I think it's automatic. It's very hard. I've mentioned this a few times that it's very hard to find a good automatic dress watch that's relatively a great size, that's competent. And I think Orient, and what's another good name? Orient is probably the best in this category, actually. Who does the best talking about, what's his name, his channel? He's got a very popular channel. He's based in New York, I think. And he talks a lot about Orient as a brand and other names. Anyway, dragging on. Wisconsin Watch Guy saying that it's interesting that blue dial Aquaterra looks great. And is this one, I think, prefer the previous one. The stream looks better than the one stuff. Sorry, I can't read the essays. I apologize. I'll try my best to flick through these comments as quick as possible. We're going to motor on, though. We're going on to BDev, Long Island Watch. Yes, that's the Ferron. He talks about these brands a lot. Would recommend, if you're interested in finding an affordable dress watch in this category, have a look at Orient, and Long Island Watch definitely talks about them a lot. Does Teddy Bolsar? Does he sell them? I don't know. Also good. Again, I don't watch many watch channels. I have to admit, guys, it's funny when you're not making content, you want to get as far away from it as possible. Right, BDev, you definitely were featured with this. There were a few shots that weren't wrist shots, and this is a good example of something that represents coolness. Looks like we've got a 1911. We've got a pocket knife in the corner. We've got a Zinn reference 104, which is extremely popular. And just everything works here. You know, you've got the camo. You've got this awesome leather strap. Beautiful shot. And I'd imagine this is quite an old submission too, you know? So it's good. It's a good time. Timeless Watch Channel watches. Does he really? R&W? Good grief. No, I tell you, it's so difficult to be attentive with that. There are so many watch channels. You know what's amazing from this year? I can tell you the community has never been stronger after this year. So many people have been jumping on this hobby. I think I mentioned it more last show, about 2 weeks ago, that so many people are jumping into the space, making their own channels. And I think it's awesome that we can all share our own opinions around these subjects. And all I can say to those of you who are starting channels is just be consistent. Keep putting out work that you want people to see, that you believe is great, that you believe will resonate with someone out there. And you'll be surprised. That's all I can say. You'll be surprised. I'm very humbled doing what I do. That's all I can say. Giuseppe, I need to get away from YouTube and watches. Chillax. Yeah, I do. I mean, it doesn't feel like I've had a break, honestly. During this Christmas period, I've been writing new video ideas down and actually preparing a few. Watches of the French Armed Forces. That is coming out very soon. And that's going to be, God knows, half an hour long. There's so much to talk about in that category. Awesome 1911, as mentioned by a couple. Yes, I think the presentation is stunning. BDev, you nailed it here. The Zinn 104 is now on a Zinn bracelet, and they do excellent bracelets. Highly recommend looking at them, given the chance. Right, to Ben. We've been talking for 45 minutes. Now, here's another example of a shot that wasn't on the wrist. This being, and I hope I'm getting this right, this is not the Interstellar, is it? No, it's not. Hamilton Khaki Air Pilot. I just love the shot on the wood. The quality of the photo is amazing. And when we talk about a watch that has this Flieger field watch inspiration there, awesome. We featured this watch a couple of times on the show, and it's just something that stood out to me in the list of submissions that came in over the course of last year. It's great. It's a great time. Love the countdown. Basil Neferon says, yes, there's so many cool things, so many nice details to pilot watches in general. Quirky elements, should I say. This is the Interstellar. Thank you, Sarah, for that. Yeah, so we had the Murph, and then this is the watch that, what's his name? Goddamn. This is going to be difficult. I've got to try and be consistent and run the show smoothly, as well as trying to bring as much info out as possible. What's his name? I'm not going to get it. Someone's going to have to remind me. Wisconsin Watch Guy saying, I'm hoping that on my next hike, I find a rainbow Daytona just hanging from a tree. I mean, that's funny. Would you be interested in the rainbow Daytona? Coop, yes, that's it. So it's a Cooper watch. Thank you, Soda, for that. Matthew McConaughey, that's it. Thank you. I like to know your opinions on the rainbow Daytona, because it's, thanks to John Mayer, of course, they've become so popular, right? That Talking Watches episode. It's funny how these pieces come and go. Right, I'm going to move on. So this is awesome. I just love the presentation here, the way the light works, and you get to see this watch so clearly, right? There was a question asked of me about featuring a Grand Seiko. We will be seeing it in a moment. First, though, Bjornar, if you're watching, you sent in like 6 photos one week, and they all were top-notch. So I've saved 2 of them. And I think this is one of the best in this zone. So it's a Bathyscaf Chronograph, which is something you don't see very often, in a black arrangement. I think it's a ceramic model. It's 41, 42 mils. And the gripe that I have with the standard Bathyscaf without a chronograph, just the numerals, is that it's kind of peculiar in proportion. They've done the chronograph so well here. It feels like this diver has been made to be a chronograph, right? It's 43. Thank you, George. You guys are on the ball. Thank you for giving me the added insight. It's fantastic. It just makes these shows so much easier, actually, being able to read these details. But it's such a beautiful photograph. And we're going to get to the Grand Seiko next. I have to feature it. Another good example of date integration at the 430, between the 4 and the 5, where you have this black window. It's not in your face. It's not in the way. I like the small touches they've done here with the sub-seconds and how it's loomed here at the base. Clean. Really clean, and it feels like a watch that has this 70s flair to it, but it's also going in its own direction, which I do enjoy. It's nice seeing a brand, not literally translating those typical 70s components into their pieces, but go a little bit out of their way to add something else. So these we don't see nipple dial watches today. Good to see that they are improving and changing up the format of it. Awesome watch. I do really appreciate this piece in the category. So many little aspects to enjoy. Also, the full graduations on the bezel. I love watches that you can just look at and find more elements to them. They're complex, but they're also just enjoyable to see. Megan's saying she loves it. She would wear it. I would definitely wear it. On a Nato, especially. I have like 4 watches on Nato straps at the moment. I'm loving them. Hamilton, another brand I just can't get into. Design seems, yes, everything out of proportion on the dial. There are a few that I would recommend. I mean, the Khaki is probably one of the best to get into in this category. Field watches, we all love our field watches out there, Right, I'm going to get to the next shot from Bjornar. Now, this is otherworldly. We are now, 47 minutes into the show. This is, if I was talking about the top 5 best submissions of wrist shots, this is unreal. How he caught this light here, this is inside the car, by the way. This is not like on a windowsill or whatever else. He's just sitting in the car, probably in traffic. Look at that. So this is a ceramic spring drive GMT. I think it's a boutique edition, if I'm not wrong, with the gold elements there. It's just incredible. Absolutely incredible. Goes to show. It's great. I've been looking at these watches, actually. They're quite enticing. They do some amazing things. Like we zoom into the dial, and we look at actually on the chapter ring element, we see that numerals are printed here to help you with the GMT. If you want to actually track, I think it's a 3 time zone GMT, if I remember right. So you can track the GMT hand on the dial, as well as using the bezel independently to set another time zone. And it's just the contrast in colors. I mean, I still don't fully understand how the bezel is made, but it's a blue bezel, and it's just how the light works on the bezel in certain places. It's got this almost like a sapphire cap on top that just makes it sing. You've got anti-reflective coating and how that works on it. Just awesome. Such a beautiful photograph. Have to commend you, Bjornar. If you're here watching, this has to be one of the best submissions for the show. I don't think there are any that come close to dynamism as this. Your artifact saying car light for some strange reason typically works red. Yeah, it's almost like the windows, the way the windows are arranged with the roof, and it's almost like a light box in a way, wouldn't you say? I do agree. I mean, it's almost like everything is focused in. The light is concentrated in certain areas. Fantastic, just beautiful, beautiful shot. Okay, I'm going to move next, and I've got to jump up a bit to Dr. Bob. Now, he sent this in last show, and I thought it was just such an exceptional photograph. His and hers, Patek Philippe's. We have a Calatrava, ladies Calatrava, 5700, I think, if I remember right. This was 2 weeks ago. No, I didn't put down the reference. Damn. I think it's a 50. I'm not even going to try. Awesome looking watch. We just chatted about it 2 weeks back, looking at the lugs, how it's very Breguet inspired. It's such a terrific watch for anyone, either sex. I don't know why it's classified as a woman's watch. There's so many little nuances to this that just, it really does like spit in the face of the men's Calatrava line, don't you think? And we jump to Dr. Bob himself with a Aquanaut travel time. I'll never get this reference right. It's like a 164A or something. I'm absolutely useless with so many references out there. But awesome watch. I did an in-depth talk about this 2 weeks back. So if you'd like to watch that show, definitely cover it in more detail. But I just thought the photograph was great. Getting to see his and hers, the quality, the lighting, everything there. It's beautiful. Right. Megan saying, I've been trying Grand Seiko recently. I don't like the bezel. The bezel itself, oh, I just hit the mic, sorry. The bezel itself, it doesn't look like it's very ratchety. It's kind of loose, if I'm not wrong. I've been looking at a few reviews and they're pretty great. It's nice just seeing. I do enjoy hands-on reviews very often because you get to see just how everything's arranged. Oops, I did not hit that. So awesome. I love this submission. And we're jumping next to Blaine. How can you not enjoy this? Monza poster in the background and Speedmaster Mark II in the front. There's another Mark II that we're going to look at just now. This being the reissue, of course. You can tell because it says coaxial on the dial. There's many ways of telling. It says coaxial on the dial. It has a date complication, fully loomed inset bezel, racing Mark II dial. And these are getting quite popular, which I'm happy about. I think they deserve the attention they do. Just an awesome shot again. I mean, Monza motorbike racing. These look like classic 1960s, 50s. I'm not a motorbike guy. 50s and 60s motorbikes from back in the day. Maybe even 70s. I don't know. Don't crucify me. But just an awesome shot of this watch. You get to see it in its fullest glory. Right. Catching up with the chats, and I am missing all of you here. Dr. Bob, again, thank you for sending in the awesome Pateks last week. And Megan's saying, talking about leather Natos and kangaroo straps, and oh my goodness, killing the wildlife over there, Megan, are you? It's great. It's great. No Rolex, no PP, no VC. We do have what else do we have? Funnily enough, there aren't many Rolexes, actually. We're going to see a few, and a few very special ones, but nothing too out of the ordinary. It's going to be a good time. I mean, it's as you'll probably find. What I love is just the photography from all of these. Yeah, beautiful orange elements. There's chatting more about the Pateks. God, I can't even keep up. Awesome watch. Got to say, Blaine, this is beautiful. Next, we're jumping to Brandon, and I think Brandon is going. It goes by the name of Maina in Japan, and this is also a old submission, but I just think it's Japan during the time of its blossom. I think that the flowers only blossom for like a week. And this is him with his Black Bay with a what am I saying here? I called it Black Bay bronze. Jeez, like what's wrong with me? Black Bay burgundy bezel. And it's just, again, a beautiful setting, great colors, great lighting. You get to see this watch in its full glory. We actually are going to be looking at a few Tudors during the show. It's great. It's a good time. What an excellent photograph again, and that's just the staple for all of these submissions. Dear Artifact, you're going to be getting some of your shots featured. Don't worry. I didn't cherry pick all of them. I chose 3 that I thought were quite great. You have sent in so many over the course of this year. So the Black Bay Blossom, I do like that, Doctor. Yeah, just another exceptional shot. Also, shout out to anyone who wears watches on their right wrists. It's good to see that there are some left-handers out there, or people who just prefer having the crown not dig into their hands. Right, hitting the coffee again. I'm almost finished my third glass. It's not good. I gotta slow down. Kangaroo Nato straps. I would love to experience one, James. Honestly, I really would. I don't know what the leather is like. I've experienced ostrich leather. I don't think it's the same. It's a little bit of a different species there, right? Samray, we're going to be having a look at some Pelagosses. And yes, draw and code, we are going to be looking at a Monza just now. It's going to be a good time. Right, Brandon, beautiful shot. Thank you for sending this to us. I think the Tudor kind of made a mistake going with the shield. They should have kept the rose. There's just so much more about the Tudor rose that I think speaks to its identity. It's just so classic, you know, smiling, self-winding. It's just the watch has always had these quirks, and I think the modern ones are taking themselves too seriously in that level. They should be having a bit more fun. They should be a bit more quirky. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. I don't know why brands have to be so serious with their work all the time. Okay, to Brian. One of the best shots of a Milgauss that we've featured. I think there is another one later on. This was taken in the car. Don't crucify me. I don't know what car it is by the door. But another just excellent example of seeing how the Milgauss is shown off in this kind of natural lighting. Another car shot, would you believe? And you know, the Milgauss, it's definitely a watch that I think anyone who's interested in this space should jump on. There's a couple of us here who do own these pieces, and as far as just talking about seriousness, this is the one watch in Rolex's line that definitely doesn't take itself seriously at all, and that's the fun of it, you know. There's a great play on using the lightning bolt from the older references and the perpetual case and the blue and the green, and it just works. The colors, the color palette, green, blue, and orange do work so well together in a selection. A lot of fun. And of course, the Milgauss has this cool party trick of Faraday cages and anti-magnetism and all that there. Okay. Norcar saying they all look alike. Rolex need to come up with new models. It would be nice. It would be very nice. I mean, they brought the Sky Dweller out, which was one of their breakouts. It would be good to see, but what would they do? What could they do in this category? They kind of have every area covered. Imagine a diving chronograph from Rolex. That would be fun. And again, if you'd like to ask me a question, tag me in the chat, and it'll be a lot easier to see what's going on. It's so difficult catching up with everything here. Gregory mentioning, as far as anti-magnetic watches, any other suggestions? Given the chance, I would jump on Omega for their anti-magnetic properties. As far as a brand that hypes up their anti-magnetism, I think Omega is probably the best in the space. 15,000, I think it's 15,000 gas, and their movements are amazing. There's no denying their movements are amazing. I've said this a couple of times that I personally know a few Omega watchmakers, and they take so much pride in their work, in what they do with the pieces. They're so focused on how the watches are made. It's almost like they are, you know, those pieces, especially the modern ones, are made for watchmakers. Technical brilliance, coaxial. I love the complication. I love how the movements work. Megan saying an essential watch for the collection. Yeah, I think it is, you know. I think it's, you know, next to vintage. I mean, I would love to add this to a collection as well as a 5-digit Submariner, and, you know, keeping it kind of concise, but also having fun with it. This watch is one that definitely has fun with itself. That sounds so wrong. Right, moving on next to Carlos. I can't remember this. Has fun with itself. Dear me. Hamilton khaki. Now, I just love this shot. This was sent in a couple of weeks back, I think. Oh, sorry, a couple of months back. Now, we were talking about slim-wristed watch wearers. There are a couple of us out there, and he doesn't wear anything over 36 mils, I think. And I do really like this presentation. Beautiful shot. You get to see this watch in its proper environment, some good lighting. Looks like he's pushing his hand up against a wall. I mean, creative license, it's all good. Speaking about the Hamilton khaki, here's a great example. I guess the kitsch thing is having khaki printed on the dial so boldly. But I mean, this watch is a legend. For the American market, it is the quintessential field watch. So would recommend. I think I'm always going to recommend for the rest of my life that people need to get into this hobby with field watches. There's so much you can learn about them or learn from them when it comes to mechanical pieces, you know, hand wound. Give it to your child when they go off to high school or go off to university or as a gift, because it does change your perspective. I mean, I'm wearing a Smith's W10 right now. I haven't been able to take it off for weeks because it just does everything you need it to do. Time telling, out of the way. Great piece. Right. Carlos, thanks for this. We're going to jump next to Clint. I don't know if Clint is watching. He's based in Oz, I think. He's a South African expat too. And he sent in a couple of weeks back months. IWC Engineer. I just love this photograph. This to me is one of the best watches that represent an engineer in the modern line. How can you not like this layout? Okay, there's lots of chats going on here, and I'm missing you all. Giuseppe saying, Rolex, bring back California dial. Ooh, that would be nice. A California dial on a perpetual. I wonder if that would work. You see, that feels too playful. It really feels way too playful for the brand at the moment. They're so focused on creating the same style of watch that going out of it's difficult, eh? You can't of all the brands, Rolex is like the kind of brand that you can predict a lot of, but you also can't predict what they could do next and where they might want to take the identity. The perpetuals, for example, the new models. We are going to have a look at one just now. That was completely out of left field. Dear Artifact saying this watch is stunning. I'd love to own a vintage Hamilton khaki. Is this a vintage model? I don't know if it is. I mean, I see this the loom on the hands. Oops. I don't know if this is modern or vintage. Maybe it is. Someone might need to help me. But Dear Artifact, you're coming up next. I just think this watch is amazing. Rajiv saying, I took my 16 5000 LN. That's a nice reference. On a dive. That's awesome. I mean, I'd love it. Timing a dive with a chronograph in the water. I think we are going to have a look at one later on. There's a few of them. But the one aspect that I enjoy so much, we were just looking at the Milgauss, funnily enough. The one aspect I dig so much, the engineer script. Yes, we'll look at that now. I just think this speaks so much as an engineer's watch. You look at the crown guards, you look at the case. Yes, very 70s influenced with the bezel and everything there. But this is just such good branding. Why can't they do this still? IWC has like the best scripting for all their dials. A lightning bolt running through engineer. It's clean, it's precise. You've got these pencil hands that are segmented. They do have such a great relationship with the batons that have these little wings on the sides. This is an excellent watch. White dial looks brilliant too. Yeah, there's so much you can talk about it. That's one reason why I wanted to feature it. It's an excellent photograph, but it just sums up the engineer in this space. If you want to know the reference, it's IW3239-04. Look it up on on Google if you want. And BDev saying that Hamilton is vintage. Amazing. Thank you for mentioning that, everyone. And Ashley saying it isn't vintage. I have a 1977 fish. Oh, geez. I'm so confused now. Confussed. Very handsome. I agree, Nak. Yeah, it's awesome. Moser has great scripting too. Yes, we'll be looking at some later, I think. And another shot from Clint. This is also, I think this was a cover photo for a show a couple of months back, or it was a really close contender. I think this is the only shot of the 5-digit Explorer that we're going to have a look at. Excuse the chair. I need some WD-40 in my life. 42 mil solid end link. I don't know if it's a Holes case. I've handled one of these and they are really nice. I feel like this is not one of the last because of the numerals on the dial. Apparently the latest, the very last of the 5 digits had less applications at the components here on the plots. They were not as dark as the quarters. Just such an excellent photograph, matching the I'm saying excellent a lot, matching the gray on his sweater and the color there, and it's just, you can just see it. You can see it and you can appreciate it. It's nice. Very, very nice. Maybe I'm falling for an Explorer 2 as a choice. Certain watch celebrities aside, I still love the Explorer 2. This reference, yeah. The modern one was one of the first modern Rolexes I ever handled, and the 42 mil size, it works great on bigger wrists, but it feels kind of bloated in places, like the hands. And Nefarion saying rare and attractive. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Use that cheap Loch Lomond whiskey to oil the chair, Eric. You are great. You are great. Thank you, Eric. I should, but I finished it. It's not good, eh? I have used WD-40 twice on this chair and it still squeaks. I'm actually going to have to strip it and oil the whole thing. Right, Clint, awesome 2 watches. I know they're both white dials, but they both represent their brand so well. They're both excellent photographs. Wherever you are in Australia, hope you're looking after yourself and keep enjoying the hobby. Great to hear from you if you get a chance. Right, to Cole next. And here is an example. I'm looking at the dashboard here in the car. Another car shot, would you believe? Titanium Ploprof. Now we're going to be looking at 2 Ploproffs that were featured as the final selection. How well does this capture this watch? Yuck. And I love it. George says boom. Norcar says yuck. Toyota says ouch. I love it. I mean, this watch is so divisive, and for that reason, it's got an amazing history to it. Try linseed oil, Art is mentioning. Linseed oil as a lubricant. Not a bad idea. This is just it's a crazy watch. It's so quirky. It's so fun. The mesh bracelets. And just remember, I mean, I did a video about this watch, 4 months ago. And they were ahead of the Comex models in the Rolex category. They were like in direct competition and actually outdid the Comex pieces in this area because of how their cases were made. They didn't need helium release valves, helium escape valves, should I say. And these modern ones do have them, I think, out of convenience. Maybe it's to conform with the certification that they need to go into the water. What an awesome piece. The titanium especially. I love that gray dial. It works so well. Right. So there's Karen with the chat. Subtle styling. I wouldn't say it's subtle. No, it's definitely not subtle, Rocco. It's in your face. And I mean, in the video, I talk about how it doesn't feel like a watch that was, planned out. It was just something that was slapped together into this larger case size, and they pushed it out. It was the 70s, time of oversizing, and it's a watch that doesn't make sense in many ways when you're dealing with the ratcheting bezel, but it was one of the first in the space that let you adjust the bezel and had that lock-in mechanism. Yeah, it's fun. The Leviathan, yeah, there's lots of good things to talk about. I mean, it's definitely, it'll always be a conversation starter, and it'll be one that will spark love and hate, intrigue and dismissal in this field. So, I mean, it's a good time. Excuse the chair again. So they're saying, Omega says, if you are doing frequent saturation diving, that helium release valve is something you will need. Interesting. Depending on how deep you go, right? Eric, I'm sure Eric can attest to it. Such a cool watch. The one thing I want to focus in on is the use of color with this piece in particular. I think this is the example. Okay, check this out. This is awesome. Pay attention to this. Notice where the orange accents are. So ugly, it's actually cool. Richard Mann, I love that. Where the orange accents are, we have an orange accent on the pusher, orange accent on the bezel, on the minute hand, and on the seconds hand. It all has something to do with dive timing, which I think is a brilliant execution of color in a design. So you're using the bezel. To use the bezel, you use the ratchet. You push it down. That then lines up with the orange element on the minute hand, and of course the second hand tracks it. It's excellent. And not many, why am I saying excellent so often? Not many brands out there think that deeper into the watch's actual function. There's some good little things. It's quirks, but it's fun. Right, next to Cole, another shot that Cole sent in, and I had to feature this. I don't know where this is in the world, but this is a 50 fathoms on the wrist, just been in the water, 44 mils, offset date window. It's not a watch for everyone. Function over form, BDev. Very good point. I agree, for sure. I do agree. I've got to miss so many chats going on. Don't use WD-40. It's too light. Oh, it's for water displacement, really. Use something like 3-in-1. Oh, thank you, Mason. I'll have a look. So you want me to find a thicker lubricant? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Good times. No, this is definitely not a 40 mil. It's a 44 50 fathoms. And yeah, I don't think I featured. There were some amazing 50 fathoms that we saw last year. This is the standard piece that we know. And Eric's saying beautiful shot. I mean, it's in its natural habitat, and that's what I like. As far as a dive watch goes, I mean, it's definitely not for everyone when it comes to being a daily wearer at 44 mils. 45, you're right, it's 45, yes. But as far as a dive watch goes, you have legibility for days, and it's right there in your face. It's a proper wrist clock. It serves its purpose well, sapphire capping on the bezel and everything there. And wristwatch experience says this pic reminds me of holidays. Remember them? I can't. I haven't been on a holiday for a long time. 5 years. I haven't traveled in 5 years. 5 stinking years. Can you believe? Yeah, life gets in the way while you're busy making other plans, Okay. Love the bezel. There's lots of little cues to it. I do appreciate it. I would love to see. I mean, Hodinkee just brought out an absolutely stellar collaboration piece with Blancpain, and it's a pity that they're limited. It's a 40 mil spec inspired. It's basically the same. We've seen a mil spec variant from Blancpain in a similar fashion, but I think it's fully brushed, and I think it's something like $12,000. So they want. That's like, what? Why would you charge? And it's on a NATO strap. I would love. I mean, given the chance, I'd love to own a 50 fathoms. It's awesome. We watch guy says I need to retire. I agree. I do agree. This year, I hope to spend a lot more time traveling. Just take like 2-3 weeks off and just go and enjoy the world a little bit, Okay, so Cole, I love these. These are old submissions, I think, from a long time ago, but it's always a joy. Curtis, if you're still watching from California, Curtis and I have hung out in person, in real life. Absolute gent of a man. And he sent this in, I think, last week, the last show that we had. And I just think it's a brilliant shot of the Odysseus. You get to see it on the wrist. I do enjoy these further taken shots where you get to see it fully. There he is. Absolute pleasure, Curtis. Seeing these shots that are taken further back, you can appreciate how it sits on the wrist, and it fits him perfectly. I mean, it's a watch that's growing. I think it's growing on me and lots of others. Speaks to Lunga's design language, and I also love the Sky Dweller in the background. It's great seeing this meld of the two pieces together. Both sports watches, one more based around being a flying instrument, but does technically have an annual calendar on it. So kind of similar in a way. They have similar complications. Lunga is incredible. Dear Artifact, yeah, it is. It's a nice machine. And Russell, I don't know if you've joined us yet. He normally joins us at 11 o'clock. I don't think I'm featuring his, but he's done some cool things with his over the last couple of months. It's definitely a watch that grows. I'd love to get some time with this piece, gotta say. I think I would fall head over heels with the watch because it's also an outlier in this category. It's not the typical cliche. It's a sports watch, but it's so true to Lunga's identity, and it's a good time. Remember when we hated this watch? Yes, Andreas. It's still a watch that I'm a bit divided on. It's mainly the bracelet. The case and the dial speaks to Lunga's approach. I do much prefer the white gold model that they've just brought out, by the way. Recommend looking it up. I think on Google, just type in Lunga Odysseus Gray, and you'll see what I mean. There's more texture to the dial. There's like a fluting around it. It's on a rubber strap, which looks a bit more sharp. And Curtis saying, for reference, I have a 7.5/8-inch wrist. Yeah, you have a monster wrist and huge hands too. So it must have been difficult getting it over your hands. But awesome that you got to experience this watch in a boutique. So awesome. Really nice piece. Thank you for sending it in. Now, jumping to Daniel. We have featured this watch before, this shot. This was his Polar Explorer that we featured 2 weeks ago, skiing in central Switzerland. How can you not enjoy this? I mean, the theme of the last show was where have watches taken you this year, not where have you taken watches, for obvious reasons. And yeah, I just love it. It's such a good representation of the watch in its natural habitat again. Stunning setting, good use of orange for the accents on the hands and the skis. And yeah, it's great. The dialogue going on in the chat is awesome. And I'm missing so much of it. Please tag me in the chat. And I can answer any of your questions. I'm open to questions. I'm just talking over myself here. More coffee. Let's hit it. So Daniel with the Explorer 2, 42 mil. Nice piece, excellent shot. I mean, the photography is just incredible. But we're not done yet, because next to the Explorer, he also has a winner that we featured, I like to say, about 2 months ago. And it's just another, I think he's also based in Switzerland. This is his Seamaster 300 from 1969, reference 166.024. You know how much I love this watch. We all love this watch. Even if you are a diehard enthusiast in other areas, how can you not appreciate this piece and how it's been done? I just, everything about it, the shot, just the setting, the watch itself, the tropic strap, how it matches the pine trees in the background. It's legendary, as Dear Artifact says, yes. If I can contact Renaud and speak to him, I would love to talk about getting this watch re-brought out. It's going to happen. We all know it's going to happen eventually, right? Such an awesome shot. Sums up the watch so well. I enjoy it. Really enjoy it. Okay, got to carry on. And It's a stunner, so clear and perfect it is, Freddie. If the truth is, given the chance to come up with my interpretation of a near perfect dive watch, I hate using the word perfect because nothing in life is really perfect, right? I guess when we look at nature, on the other hand, we could maybe call certain things perfect in the way they're formed, but man-made things, it's difficult to call things perfect. But in my humble opinion, this is so close. I would love to take elements from the Submariner and this, put them together, and you would have this incredible archetype for a dive watch. Valeria asking what model. It's a reference 166.024. Hard to come by. And the standard that we know without the date, it's called the 165.024, I think right. It's just, yeah, if I had the chance of designing my ideal dive watch, it would follow a similar format to this. Elements like the accentuated minute marks on the dial, the fully graduated bezel, it's so easy to read. I love the lyre lugs. They add this bit of complexity. It leads your eye to the dial a bit more. There's so many things about this watch that I enjoy. I could sit talking about it for ages. James saying stunning. It's a stunning photo. I agree. Really do agree. I mean, look at that setting. This was a close contender as a cover photo a couple of months back. Yeah, it's a win. Did I have a favorite shot of the year? Thomas, I was thinking about that. But after reviewing all of them, how do you manage to do that? How can you sum up the best watch shot of the year? I wish I could. I wish I could have thought, okay, what are the top 10? Trust me, as we go through, you'll see it's just not going to change. The consistency is there with everything. So they're saying I prefer the date of the 6. I agree. It's a nice element. Given the chance, I'd prefer no date, but that's just me. The case is less than it is. Nefarion, it's I believe it's a 40 mil. I believe it's either 40 or 41 mils in size. So we watch guys saying, so my streams are good. They keep you from getting work done. We'll be cleaning and listening in. Thank you, Wisconsin Watch Guy. Enjoy it. I have a feeling that you are featured. I think one of your shots are featured. Eric Bell, you're a legend. Right, moving on next. I think this is a different, is this the same Daniel or a different Daniel? Let's look by judging wrist hair and, no, it's I can't see, this is a different Daniel. We have a Calatrava Reference 5196, beautiful photograph again. Bjornar, a live show. Oh, geez, you missed your submissions, Bjornar. Yours, I've mentioned this already to the audience that yours actually were, this especially, your GMT. This is one of the top 3 contenders for best watch shot of the show. Fully, I mean, I think everyone needs to clap for Bjornar's submission because this is just, I said otherworldly when I try to sum it up, Right, so Daniel with the 5196, I think we actually feature a few of these shots. This watch just is captured so well in this lighting, and you can enjoy all the little aspects, the hobnails, it's an awesome piece. Can't deny it's an awesome, awesome watch. Grand Seiko is the greatest. It is one of the best. Thomas, you asked me what my favorite is, and I think Bjornar is one of, if not the best submissions. We'll see. I mean, trust me, there's so much more that we're going to be looking at. James saying it makes me want to buy the watch. I tell you, talking about that Omega, yeah, I could talk about it for days. I don't know if anyone's handled the originals, but they are amazing. I got to try on one of the original MODs with the broad arrow at the 12. No numeral 12, just the fat arrow. 165, no date. Instantly sold me on the watch, gotta say. Okay, 5196 Calatrava, excellent lighting, great color balance. You get to see all the elements accentuated on the dial. Yeah, it's awesome. Right, moving on to another Daniel. This is the same or a different Daniel? I don't know. We're talking about Royal Oaks a second ago. When I say a second ago, it was like 50 minutes ago. This was, I feel like this is the same Daniel with the Patek. Okay. This was featured not 2 weeks ago, mentioning that when the AD calls, you go to that call. And as far as seeing these two watches side by side, and Wisconsin Watch Guy did mention that one great aspect is how the crown has been done. Few other brands have been able to execute such a great crown aesthetic. The hexagonal element and how it matches up with the screws on the bezel and the bezel itself. I just loved seeing these two side by side. Seldom do we see chronographs, the chronograph and the standard watch there. Holy smokes, Royal Oaks. Yep. They're great. CWC dial, Perry. Yeah, there are lots of brands out there that have done it. I think Time Factor's also made some, and CWC is probably most popular for them today. They still produce them. I don't know exactly how the specification worked and how those contracts were asked for back then, because once I'm going to go into the history of it. It'll take all day. Awesome shot. So nice. Who is this one? James saying, this is from Daniel, another Daniel. I think we've seen about 3 Daniels so far, but I enjoy it. Really do enjoy the selection. We're moving on to Dear Artifact next. So who's holding the camera? Good question, Mason. I think he has it in his mouth. This is his chest here. So maybe he's maybe he's got a really long neck. Excellent shot. However you managed to do it, congratulations. It looks awesome. Okay, Dear Artifact next. If you're here, who sent this shot in? Again, Daniel. I don't feature surnames. I think I should feature at least one letter of the surname in future. That's just beautiful. We did look at this 2 weeks back, and I spoke about it a lot more. Head cam. Love it. Okay, Dear Artifact, where are you? This is also by far one of the top contenders of best submissions of the series for the show, I believe. What can you say? Black Bay 58, gilt dial. The resolution of these shots, I cannot emphasize enough. I think this photo by itself is... I can't see this. Hold on a sec. The hold on. The resolution of this image, I think, is about 10 millimeters, 10 megabytes in size. Great accents, and it's just, you get to see the skin on his thumbnail, and it's incredible. Gilt arrangement, red accents. We featured a couple of Tudors, and we're going to be looking at more later on, Pelagoses and everything there. Not sure that's a 58. It is most definitely a 58 gilt. And Dear Artifact, I don't know how you managed to take these shots. If you don't follow him on Instagram, I'm going to actually tag him in the chat at Dear Artifact. How am I going to do this? Dear Artifact. There we go. I think I spelled it wrong. Follow him on Instagram because his shots are out of this world. This is definitely another one of the best top 3, I would say, by far. Not done yet. We have a gorgeous vintage Omega reference 2179/2 from World War II. I can't get over the quality of these photographs. I could have easily taken 10 shots from Dear Artifact and featured them, because every single one of them is look at the finishing here. Eggshell. The dial has seen a good life. I have a feeling that this is not a military issue. I feel like it's a civilian issue of this piece. And you can just see that balance on the dial. I so wish brands would adopt this rounded aesthetic of how they arrange their numerals on the dials. Awesome. And the quality of the photo, again, I only featured 3 of your shots, Dear Artifact. So unfortunately, I could have featured 15. John mentioning, thank you for the super chat. Need GMT recommendations. 40 to 41, 24-hour rotating bezel. True GMT complication like Rolex. Can't be Rolex. Tudor or Grand Seiko. Omega Planet Ocean does some good elements in that space. That's one part I would look at first. Grand Seiko, of course, is another one that came to mind. Other good examples. Can someone help John in the chat? Tag him in the chat and give him some suggestions about the best GMTs in this category with rotating bezels. You can get some in different areas, like Zin, for example. I think they do some good examples. Glycine. Zodiac, yes. We're going to have a look at an awesome Zodiac later on. Yeah, so much going on in the chat. I'm missing you all here. It's beautiful though, right? Beautiful Omega. The way you can tell this is a watch from the 40s is that ruler rail track that runs around the dial. It just speaks so much to the classroom. It feels like something out of a classroom. Beautiful. Not done yet. This is, I think, one of the only Cartiers that we're featuring, and it's his mother's Cartier tank. And the resolution of these photos, I cannot tell you enough. The stream only goes at 720p, I think, for most of you out there. But the more I zoom in, it's just, you cannot believe the texture and the finishing and all the elements there. It's Notice how the tank, most of the Cartier brands in this space, or different variants, they arrange the Cartier placement on different numerals. I don't understand where and how it works exactly, but on some they arrange it at the 8 o'clock, some they arrange it at the 10 or the 11. Yeah, great example of a tank. Probably the best photo I've ever seen of a tank in my life. Speaking of which, I'm going to make a video all about Cartier and why we should look at them more because of beautification. There's so many little aspects to Cartier's design that I think has been lost, that people aren't looking at anymore. As someone who can appreciate design and the beautification of cases, there's a lot to focus in on. Stunning shots, dear Artifact. I could have featured 15 more of your shots that you sent in. Probably will in the next show. Send some more in. It's always a pleasure featuring your stuff. Usually at the 7. I believe so, Freddie. You might need to help me there. Okay, got to motor on through. We're coming to the end of D, and we've been running the show now for almost 2 hours, an hour and a half. Nuts. Okay. And I'm sorry that I'm missing you all in the chat. The chat is pretty manic. Talking about 50 Fathoms GMT, Tudor GMTs as a suggestion to John. Omega 22. Yes, that's an example. The 2234 is a cool choice. Zin 856. Is that like the Navi timer? It's a similar. No, it's not. It's not. Oh, Zin has so many references there. Right. To Devinder next. And this is one of, correct me if I'm wrong, this is one of the first Submariners that we featured. I think it is. How cool is that? An hour and a half into the show, and it's one of the first we featured. Olive drab jacket, Kermit bezel. These are, the original anniversary models in this line, and I think deserve kudos for what they did. Rolex. Look at Piaget. Oh, this is nice. Thank you, everyone, for recommending and suggesting GMTs to John. Archimedes Pilot GMT. This is great. Some really nice outliers in this space. So of all the variants, we have the Hulk, we have the new Kermit. This variant, the Kermit with the K, I think is quite the standout. Nice looking model. The Zin 903 is Navitimer. Yes, Mason, thank you for that. Thank you. Yeah. So do enjoy this watch. I love the shots. Just represents the piece very well. Again, as usual, as always. Awesome photograph. Great size wrist to feature the piece too. Only one video on Cartier, and Andreas says 50-hour long. Trust me. The thinking is I'm just going to list a whole selection. There's so many in that space, so many case designs, and just focus in on, it'd probably be like a 20-minute video, right? Focusing in on all of them in one space and try and highlight elements of the dials that speak so well. And so they're also true to Cartier's design language, I believe. Right. Devinder loved this shot. And talking about micro brands, yes, I mean, Megan, doesn't what about a Yema GMT? I'm pretty sure Yema does an awesome Superman GMT that you could probably look into as well, John, if you're still listening. Okay, next to Delmar. Now, these are some serious outliers in the space. These were sent in months and months back. I have no idea, but I'm going to get this right. Here we go. So this is a Zapek, and he mentioned it as an FDC Panda Bayu, or Bayu. I'm not even going to try. But the FDC, I wanted to know what it stood for. Here we go. It's a Faubourg de Cracovie. Here we go. Try that again. Faubourg de Cracovie. That's what this piece stands for. And it ties in with their third boutique store that they opened up, I think. And amazing looking watch. Really is amazing. It looks like, we're actually going to be focusing in on a jaune just now. And it has these aspects to it that I think just stands out. The turning on the dial, the balance there with the subdials. Many appreciate the idea of a twin subdial arrangement. I do like how they've done that, but kept the running seconds on the dial, but out of the way. It's not accentuated as loudly as the polished elements of the champagne part of the dial. Also see how the what is it called? The guilloche on the dial radiates out from the subdials. Surprising, really nice. The case has these open flanks here. We can see it's been channeled out. It's really organic. I enjoy it. Organic, unique, rare and attractive blue dial watch. Pretty popular these days. Just small touches like red accents. We don't see these pieces. And that's one of the main reasons why I wanted to feature it. Not only is it one of the only Zapex that I think we've ever had on the show, but it's also something that we just never see. Logan Hall, one of those brands nobody talks about or knows about, highly underrated. As far as I know, Watches TV are the only ones that really feature these brands. And they're quite new to the space. I prefer their later trebuchet dial. Clive, good to have you here, Clive. Trebuchet is a good one. I like it. I do like it a lot. Awesome. Really nice. Have a look at the brand, Zapek. I don't think you pronounce the C. Moving next to another shot from Delmar. This was on his wrist, and I think his name is Delmar, Megan, asking who sent this in. It's very special. I think they only made like a couple hundred of these pieces to represent their new boutique opening. And then on his wife's wrist, if I remember right, he sent in a Parmigiani Floria Hemispheres Retrograde, which is another watch that we just don't ever see. And I thought, you know what, would be nice to feature it here. So the retrograde, in this sense, it's not a retrograde seconds like we would expect to see. This is a retrograde date, if I'm not mistaken. So we have this large pointer here at the base, and as the date goes through the months at the element here, once we hit the 31, it'll fly back to 1 for the next month. And awesome. Also really enjoy the way the bezel's been done. Speaking of which, I'm about to lose my voice. Time to bust out Fisherman's Friends. Now, I have a tin for Fisherman's Friends now. Listen to this. The sad thing is I can't tell which is blackcurrant and which is cherry, so I'm taking a wild guess here. If it's blackcurrant, my luck is going to be not on my side. And it is, it's cherry. Okay, we're good. It's cherry. Awesome looking bezel. It's another watch we just never see in this area, and I think it stands out for that reason. I enjoy it. It's been such a cool time running back and looking at these old pieces again, these submissions that have been months in the waiting. Everyone's talking now about ceramic or Pepsi. We're talking about GMTs and first sub from Giuseppe. Wrist candy. I don't know what's going on. I really think you've earned an official sponsorship from. I deserve it, right, dear Artifact? Every single show I feature Fisherman's Friends. Simply the best. Nothing takes care of a sore throat like gargling hot salt water. Well, Clive, I can't do that live on the show. I think that would be a bit vulgar. But yes, absolutely. I'm definitely a proponent of that. It is the best cure, no doubt. Get sea salt and just down a glass. Be sure to flush it out 2 or 3 times a day. You'll kill that sore throat. It's just me from over talking. Most of us know that I'm quite loquacious and I speak a bit much. So Delmar, 2 awesome pieces. We don't see them. Excellent to feature them again. We're jumping to Demetrius. And this was one of the best shots that I think Demetrius sent in. I don't know how long ago. This was also featured as a cover photo. Who knows how long back. I don't know if he's here with us. But it's another Speedmaster Professional. And love the shot. Love the white strap. We never see this watch in this configuration. And it just speaks so true to that Apollo feel. And so much talk about the new Speedmaster again. We mentioned it at the beginning of the show. Lots of little accents to enjoy, and bringing out a video all about the Speedmaster next week. Love me that white strap. It looks great, right? It does look so nice. It just ties in everything. The black accents on the side that matches up with the dial and the bezel. White accents on the hands, and clean, really clean. Got to enjoy it. And there's so much debate going on in the chat about GMTs. It's ridiculous. I'm going to pull up the next GMT. Time flies. I think Mason mentioned. Yeah, it does for sure. Trebuchet. Time flies. That's so good. What about the guillotine dial? I hear they're also very popular. You popped another cherry. Yes, I did. Fisherman's Friends. That's so Megan. That's a great line, by the way. Really. Okay, so. Jumping next to Evan, we've had a look at a Speedmaster already. Do really enjoy the white accents there. The rug ties the room together. Is that me speaking now? I don't know. Okay, to Evan next. We're talking about GMTs. Let's have a look at one. Okay, now admittedly it's a little bit crusty. It's got some skin and some. I think this is his daily wearer, but a good example of a GMT here in this space, and we can appreciate the Sky Dweller for what it is, what it does. And everyone's talking about 5-digit and 6-digit references. The 16710 is the best GMT ever made. if I had the option of choosing a GMT, I'm kind of torn. I do love the Batman on a Jubilee. I do like that whole arrangement. That would make such a good daily wearer for me personally. But then I'm also drawn to the 1675. It was one of the first vintage Rolexes I ever handled. 1675 on a Jubilee. That was actually bought. It was bought by Fidel Castro for the president of Mexico. Cool story. It's absolutely mint, new old stock with photographic evidence and everything there, engraving on the case back. No better introduction to vintage watches, vintage Rolex, than a Castro bought GMT 1675. It was such a good time, I'll tell you what. Anyway, Sky Dweller is great. This being the most in demand. I think if Mark P is watching us at the moment, he will attest to how he enjoys this watch and new pickup of his. I think we featured it a couple of weeks back. Thanks again for this, John. You're taking it all in. I hope you're taking notes. And we watch guys saying, can we expect an ID Fisherman's Friend GMT collaboration? You know what? I'm actually going to reach out to them. They're based in the northern regions of the UK. Maybe I need to reach out to them and have a chat. Maybe we can have our own variant of cherry, call it like cherry extreme flavor or something. Who knows? Right. Moving next to Fahim. Now, Fahim is another gentleman from South Africa. We connected through this hobby. He's based in London. He's an awesome guy. And we've actually hung out and we've chatted watches quite at length. Follow him on Instagram, King Flume. I'll put his handle in the chat now for you. I think that's how you spell it. King Flume on Instagram. Amazing photographs. And this is the cornerstone of his collection. It's a Jaune resonance. John's saying, I'm writing down references like a madman. Go for it. Go for it. Good man. So this is his pride and joy. He has an awesome taste in pieces, like a 5-digit reference Sea Dweller he had at one point. I think he has a standard Batman. He has a GMT on a Jubilee. And then he also just loves micro brands. I think he picks up undone pieces. He loves his Casio Oaks and other models. But I focused in on his resonance because he just loves it. He cannot not share this watch on a daily basis. And I mean, there's so many things. It's a marvel of watchmaking. Look at the Watchfinder video on the Jaune resonance. Would recommend. The story goes, and we will switch to a movement shot, that these movements basically work in tandem with each other. And because of the central bridge that keeps them together, the watch regulates itself. That's essentially the idea. This being a platinum version, of course, with, I think it's a brass movement. I don't know if it's a Gen 1, but it's just symmetry and stunning. It also speaks to Jaune's language, its identity at the moment, how they approach things. Sounds like Tic Tacs, Giuseppe. Yeah, they're kind of like Tic Tacs, but on a much greater level. I think they have elements of eucalyptus, I think, or menthol or eucalyptus, one of the two in Fisherman's Friends. Highly recommend cherry flavor. It's my bread and butter. It's what I live on. It's my diet, basically, right? Yeah, this is an 18K. Okay, thank you, Richard. So this is the 18 caliber. Geez, I'm a moron. It helps that it actually says it on the dial, idiot. Such a nice shot. Again, we can just appreciate the photography. Go onto Instagram and follow him purely for the photography because he loves it. He spends his every waking hour taking photos of watches. I don't know if you're watching us for him, but yeah, always a pleasure. Next level, museum piece on the wrist. It is amazing. And it also feels very modern in a way. There's definitely an expression to its face. It kind of has this, eyes and a smiling mouth. So it's not exactly the most sterile. It's kind of charismatic. It's fun. Awesome piece. Right. Got to carry on. Fahim, thank you as always. Next, we're jumping to Florian. And how better can you get a shot of a Seiko Ripley than here? Don't ask me to mention the reference number because I wouldn't be able to. But here we have an example of, and I believe it's a Mecha Quartz. It's a VK64 Mecha Quartz, if I'm not wrong. I love this photograph. Loved seeing how the titanium works, just the finishing, how it sits on the wrist. I do love the contrasting sleeve. I mean, lots of these guys go through the efforts of matching, getting some good colors on their jackets and jerseys to get the shot just optimal. It's so nice seeing this, how it's like toned in there. And yeah, it's great. It's great. This hobby is a lot of fun, as always. I'm not seeing any questions asked of me in the chat, which sucks. Anyone who wants to tag me, ask away. I'd love to get to some questions. Everyone is just chatting about whatever. It's great fun. What is the bulk of rectangle on the right? So this has no functional purpose. This was designed by Giugiaro, who also designed things like the Mark I Golf, the Lamborghini Countach, I think, and so many others. I mean, he was so renowned for his approach to this retro styling. And the pushes are just, it's an electronic chronograph. It's a Seiko chrono. It's all just there to a very Bauhaus aesthetic, we could say, using squared elements and rounded forms. It's simplistic, and it's all just there for show. There's no actual purpose to it standing out the way it does. It's just his way of attacking it. He also designed a series of motorcycle watches. Would recommend. I made a video about reissue chronographs, I think, and I think I mentioned this piece. It was like a 30-minute long video. How much does the Seiko normally sell for? I'm afraid I'm not the one to ask, but maybe someone else can answer this question. Very good. Demetrius, you're joining us. Wow. We did feature one of your shots earlier on. It was a Speedmaster. Where is the crown? I think the crown's on the left side. Jeez, I'm getting all the questions now. Thank you, everyone. Yeah, as an example of a watch that represents Giugiaro's approach, this is probably the best in this category. Notice where the date window is. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. Really is nice. Clean, simple, speaks to its time very well. Okay. Moving on next to James. James, if you're in the chat with us, I have to feature this watch because we don't see it ever. This is one of his pride and joys in the vintage collection. A 6239 Paul Newman on a Bund strap, as you would expect to see it. And I think I featured this because it happened just around the time of the Newman sale, if I remember right. And as far as vintage Rolex goes, yes, it's so hyped for what it is. But when do you get to see these? And that was the idea. I thought, why not just feature the stuff that is not seen as often? Usually get to enjoy that kind of stuff. So yeah, love the Newman. Yeah, Rajev, I can tell you that, I mean, I feel so privileged to have well over 2,000 of these submissions coming in. And the watches that I've seen just by curating and doing these shows, I can't tell you how difficult it was to choose like 100. Because there's so many, and it was a nightmare. I could only choose like between 8 and 10. It's difficult. So the Paul Newman, they call it. You could just call it, Paul Newman Daytona, whatever else. But this watch really set the ball in motion for Rolex as a brand in the Daytona category. Even though it was designed to be the racing watch first, it was branded Cosmograph as a watch to go to space. It never did. I look forward to talking about this more next week with the Speedmaster story. Russell is joining us. It's awesome. These chats are going ballistic. I see lots are enjoying the Newman. Yeah. I'm wondering if James still has it. I wonder if you do still have this watch in your collection. I think you do. I'm sure you would. But yeah, it's an overhyped watch for what it is, realistically. But then it does have some nice provenance to it. And it's good to see it in the flesh, So moving on next to Megan, the only watch that I saved from Megan's pieces that she sent in. I think most can probably guess. Actually, someone in the chat guessed the watch that I chose without zooming into the corner of the screen. Which piece did I choose as a Megan selection? She sent in everything from vintage Rolex to modern and everything there. Moser, yeah, Demetrius, you got that one right. I'm afraid to tell you the Vanta Black Tourbillon. It's just amazing. It's just amazing. I think this is the last Moser that we're going to be featuring. No, there's another one. There's another one. Yep, everyone guessed Moser. The Vanta Black Tourbillon is just such an outlier in this category. And as far as a brand like near perfecting their approach with how they've designed their pieces, this to me is amazing as far as a tuxedo watch goes. It's got that complexity. Yeah. I could sing its praises for days. Serta's asking what it is. They only made like 30 of them, I think. And great story. I think it's an endeavor. It's an endeavor Vanta Black. And yeah, spoken about it enough. The black hole. Yep, I agree. Yeah, that's all I need to say. I don't need to talk about it anymore. I've gushed over it for weeks on end. Vanta Black is a winner in this category, so I've got to appreciate it. You don't get it. It's Neil. It's what I love about it is Moser at this point they're able to take everything away from their dials, given the chance. And as far as a dress watch goes, traditionally it needs to be something that is not obtrusive in your way. So not even having the batons on the dial is a nice approach. And it's the organic approach that Moser is taking with a lot of their pieces. And the tourbillon adds a little bit of visual complexity to the dial. It's just nuts. It's just crazy cool. It says that you enjoy your dress watches. You're not that fussed about the time. And you have an awesome tourbillon as eye candy to enjoy. Not even a branding. Yeah, I mean, that's another thing. I'm wondering if it would improve the watch with the branding or not. That the beauty about Vanta Black is that there's so much depth to the dial. You can't actually tell where it is exactly. That the color scheme is nuts. Okay, spoke about it enough. Wow. I'm going to take a hit of coffee from that. Also featured one more shot from Megan, which is the Bulgari Octo Finissimo. Now, this watch I really did criticize a lot at the beginning of this year. It's still a watch I don't get fully, but it's another piece that we don't see very often and do enjoy the flatness of how it all works. We've featured a couple of 70s inspired pieces with integrated bracelets and cases, and I just thought it would be nice to feature this too as a part of the selection. Hell, we've had a good time with the watches that have come in over the last couple of months, right? Amazing. Okay, catching up with the chat. It's growing on me, Mark. I think it's just getting that wearing experience. It's seeing how well it would work on the wrist. The profile is amazing. The movement itself, the way the clasp integrates underneath. The Octo is definitely not a watch for everyone. It feels like a 30s inspired piece with a more deco approach with how they've done the lugs and the case. Pretty super thin. Yeah, watch out for a door jam. Yeah, I agree. Watch and pray. So yeah, we've featured these watches enough. I've spoken about them at length, but thank you, Megan and James, for sending in such incredible pieces, and Jacinta sending in such incredible pieces over the last, 7-8 months, however long it's been. Awesome time. Moving next to Francois, and a BDev. I love that. Bulgari is nuts. That's awesome. So now we're jumping back to Yema. We featured the yacht, the Rallygraph earlier on. This is the Superman French Air Force model in this space. And it's one of my favorites in this line. It really is one of my favorites. BDev, I have to agree. It's great comments. I love it. So what is so nice about this? I think the bezel matching the case is great. Going down to the 6 o'clock, we see the French Air Force insignia that we know. And it's just clean. It's not a watch for everyone. I mean, the idea of a locking bezel, it's kind of problematic when you're wanting to use it on the fly. But it's just another nice feature. I mean, it sums up Yema as a brand in many ways, And yeah, these are great. I mean, you can get them for excellent deals, whether brand new, whether on the gray market. Would highly recommend. I'm loving these brands like Oris and other makers that are less well known. And they're returning to bringing out these older pieces from back in the day and keeping their flair the same. Yema. Yeah, exactly. This Y has such a nice branding there. It's clean for what it is, 990 feet. I just enjoy how they've attacked everything. It's got the traffic light seconds hand that we've seen very popular on the Seiko 6150, the Willard. I think that's the reference. Yeah, they're great. They really are great. And there's a few of us out there that do have these pieces. They are pretty special. And Megan mentioning, love the Octos. They do grow on you. I would love to experience one just to see how it wears. I would imagine the wearing experience is amazing. It feels like a solid bracelet. Also like to know how the bracelet compares to the AP Royal Oak. And Demetrius, yes, you do have one, right? It's awesome. Giuseppe, you're talking about Daytonas again. Okay, carrying on. Francois, I love this shot. Another outlier in the space that I think many should jump on, have a look at. Jumping to Freddie Turner next. We actually featured 2 watches from Freddie Turner. Now, this being the Longines Heritage, I can never get it right. The Heritage Classic. That's it. Longines Heritage Classic. Another just a great shot in its setting, natural kind of environment. We get to enjoy this watch on the wrist. We featured these a couple of times during the period, but another nice watch, another outlier. They are expensive for what they are. You can probably find them for pretty good deals on the gray market. But I just enjoy that a brand is able to look back at their past and try to be very wholesome with the way they recreate them, scale them up correctly. Don't go against the identity of what the watch is. So Giuseppe saying that the the Daytona Paul Newman featured in movie Crazy Rich Asian. Yes, it did. It did. Remember that story. And Screwdriver, why do you wear your watches on your right wrist? Are you left-handed? Yes, I am. So I'm left-handed, and it's very difficult. I could say I'm kind of ambidextrous, but I'm more left-handed, kind of left-hand dominant. And it's always difficult for me to decide on what to do, like learning to play guitar, having the choice. What do I go for? Do I play right-handed or left? It's like a conscious decision you have to make with a lot of things in life. And for me, it's just the thinking of not having the crown digging into my hand. That it just feels a bit more natural, you know. So right wrist for me. It's funny. I mean, I don't see it as, it must look so weird for lots of others who wear watches on their left wrists. But honestly, on the right wrist, it's not something that stands out to me as incorrect. You know, it's difficult to explain. Freddie, gorgeous shot. Gotta love a sector. And then here we have an Omega DeVille. We featured this. I think this was a recent submission. And another beautiful shot. Let's get out for a second and have a look. But I mean, at the same time, lots of right-handers do wear watches on their right wrists. So I mean, it's kind of, I mean, Steve McQueen, I think he did wear a watch on a right wrist. Freddie's saying I'm left-handed, but always wear watches on my left wrist. Peculiar, right? You know, we all have our own choices in this space. And Megan asking when I'm coming over for a sleepover. Rare extravaganza. It looks like you're having a bit of a signal problem. Your side of the world. I'm getting like 3 comments there. And Russell's asking, does the crown ever dig into my wrist? Never. No, never does. It's pretty amazing. It's so comfortable. I do kind of feel for everyone who does have issues with the crowns going into their wrists, because you do see them like that you do get signs of the crown wear in certain points where there's like a blister that's formed over time, you know. So anyway, getting to this DeVille, it's from 1968. It uses a 321 caliber. And I think it's so important to hammer this home that you can still find 321 caliber chronographs out there today. In this area, this space. It's a beautiful little watch. Just small touches like the arrow on the tachymeter bezel and the applied logo, and it's just crisp, concise, clear, beautiful. Really is stunning. And the photograph, again, like I need to say, they all are exceptional. Rare and attractive. Right, to George next. Thanks for these, Freddie. He sent in, and this was a while back, and it's definitely an outlier in this space, you know. It's the Super Ocean, I think it's the COVID Relief Fund, I think they called it, something like that. They call it the Rainbow, if I remember right. And yeah, there's so much to it. I've been offered this watch a couple of times. Many are saying that it's, you know, a bit divisive in this category. I don't know how many they made. They made like 1,500 of them, I think. And still on the fence about this piece. I do love that. I think this was a 57 Super Ocean that they reissued. I do like how the dial has been arranged. I don't know so much about the colors. We were talking about rainbow Daytonas earlier on. It's a stunning shot. That's why I saved it. You can't deny. I mean, getting this watch in the lighting, seeing the colors and how they've been arranged here, you get to enjoy it for all the right elements. And the mesh bracelets. It's a polarizing piece, but I think it's a lot of fun to look at. A rainbow watch. Yep. They made 1,000 of them. Thanks, George. And tag me in the chat. James says, I need your consent. I sure do need your consent, James. Fully agree. I love these chats. I tell you what, you come for the watches and stay for the chats. That's just what makes it fun. No time marks on the bezel. Yeah, that's the thing I was mentioning. Just remember, if we go back in time to 1957, dive watches were a new thing, a new jam. All the big brands were trying to push them for the first time. No one really knew how to address a dive watch. And I love that period of time. The whole reissue segment where we get to see just how peculiar they all were. I mean, that's why I picked up a 57 Seamaster. There's so many little quirks that you don't see on modern watches, like the bezel being a count up bezel, or count down bezel, should I say. This one not having any, I think the modern ones do incorporate elements, but these no marks. These, I don't know how you would explain, how you'd express how the dials are arranged here with these. quarter circles, and yeah, Super Ocean font is beautiful. Thanks for that mention, Wisconsin Watch Guy. Super Ocean font is stunning. Why more brands need to incorporate this in? It's just elegant. Applied Breitling logo, beautiful. It's just awesome. Great looking piece. Don't know so much about the rainbow aesthetic though. It's for a good cause. Definitely not a watch for everyone. Right on. Moving next to Jack. Now, Jack sent in a while back. He goes by the username of Dublin Watch. I'm going to put that in the chat. If anyone's on Instagram, Dublin_watch. Aren't I nice promoting everyone? Dublin_watch. Have a look. Check out his page. He has a really interesting taste in pieces. Loves his Grand Seikos, and the photograph, another example of a photograph that's not a wrist shot, but we get to see beautiful snowflake. Love the texture. Crazy looking Yachtmaster that we never see. Solid yellow gold. And jumping to the whirlpool that we all know and love. This is definitely a grail for a lot of people. The texture and the detail on the dial, it's just immense. There's so much to these pieces. They definitely aren't for everyone, like any watch out there. As far as a photograph goes to represent his collection, very clean. That's just great. This hobby is just great. It's always something new to learn. It's funny when you feel like you're losing interest or you're losing touch on the space, there's always something else to draw you back at the end of the day, I believe. Neil saying Happy New Year. I've mentioned it a couple of times, but Happy New Year to you all again and again. I hope this year is exceptional for you all in the world. I think we deserve a break. Don't you think? That Wisconsin Watch Guy, very interesting hour markers on the Yachtmaster. Yes, I think they are onyx. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they are onyx inserts. And you notice that they're actually these tiny little arrows that highlight the loom there. Yeah, it's good. Another lefty. Yeah, Giuseppe, for sure. I am a lefty. I mean, it comes with the territory, right? Being creative. I guess it's something that sort of sticks to the brain. Right, I'm missing you all in the chats again. I'm trying my absolute best. But it's a difficult thing. Seiko needs a new logo. If I was to take over Grand Seiko, actually, let's have a look. Of course, I had to save this. This is another shot from Jack. If I were to jump into Grand Seiko, I would say get rid of you don't need the Grand Seiko print underneath. GS is fine. You can put Grand Seiko on the case back, but I mean, it's just that small little touch that would probably change people's perception of the watch so much. I know this is not Seiko. This is a completely different animal. But the word Seiko it's got so many connotations nowadays. So just to save people the hassle, keep the GS on the dial, which is a beautiful script, by the way. I think it's so true to its identity, as well as how they do the hands, how they do the batons, the cases. What an amazing shot. I think we actually featured this whirlpool as a cover photo a couple of months back too. Love it. Do love it. Julian just woken up. Julian, where are you based? It's amazing. It's midnight in the UK. I don't know for everyone else in the world. Yeah, so good time. We've been running the show for now, what, an hour, or 2 hours almost. Great looking piece. Do love the colors. Look at the finishing on the hands. Yes. There's so many accents. And it's the dial that you just have to enjoy so much. The way they've attacked, how they've gotten rid of the idea that these pieces can be counterfeited, I think is great. You know, it just adds extra value to these watches in the space. Things like adding a window around the date itself. Awesome. High beat, 36,000 beats. So it's great movement too. It's awesome. I mean, as far as an in-house watch, in-house brand, few do it better. Right. Moving on to James. Another James. I love this. I think this is the only time we feature a person. James with a 16713 with a fresco behind him in Venice. Why did I choose this? I mean, how can you not? It's creative. And we get to see this watch in its on its travels, right? In the real world. Love it. I do love it when photographers can take shots of themselves and just, creative ways. It's always the way it is. I think this is one of the only GMTs that we're going to be seeing. Yeah, gotta love it. Going to hold this here for a second while I catch up with the chats. London fell asleep watching. Julian, I'll be putting you to sleep again shortly. Don't worry about it. Great having you here. Wait a second. You're actually featured, Julian. Yes, you are. You'll be seeing you in a moment. We watch guy. Damn it. Chat keeps pulling me in. I need to clean. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's addictive. I sometimes find myself zoning out. I do rewatch like the first 20 minutes of the show sometimes, and I do find myself zoning out and then suddenly realizing it's been an hour. How weird is it that you can detach yourself from your own voice and still enjoy what's going on? Is that just egotism, or is that just narcissism? What is it? What is it? It's a great photo though, right, James? I agree. It's such a nice attack on the standard wrist shot. Fresco on the roof. I think this was during lockdown too, so he would manage to get out and enjoy himself a bit. So James, awesome piece. I don't know if you're watching us. I don't know if you're here, but this is one of the top shots of the series. Jumping to Jason next, and he's using a Leica. Yes. I don't know if you camera files. I'm sure you understand the lenses and everything there. Awesome, awesome camera. Awesome watch. Love it. To Jason next. Now, I have been struggling so hard because I've been wanting to feature this as a cover photo for a long time. And look at it. Is this not the best represent? I think it's not in a car. This is at a window. Is this not one of the best representations of a Datejust in its truest form? 36 millimeter blue dial, Jubilee bracelet, fluted bezel, batons. I think it's the way the Datejust should be. It is a horologist shot. Love it. Love it. Watch Champion, welcome. And to all of you else who are joining, thank you for being here. Thanks for being a part of the show and just listening in to me droning on about whatever I'm doing. Chatting away, talk over myself. It's pretty amazing. So Serta's saying, I've been considering this 36 recently. Yeah. Talking about Rolex as a brand, there's few that come as close to representing Rolex and its image as well as this watch does. Oyster Perpetual, first check mark. Fluted bezel, Jubilee bracelet, 2 more check marks. The Datejust, the whole idea of a rotating date was the Rolex approach. It was what they really pioneered. Whether or not they just bought the patents is open to debate. And then you have the Cyclops lens, which is definitely something that breaks up the dial, but it is true to its identity and what makes the watch what it is today. 36 millimeters. It's a great contemporary size. I don't know why the size gets bashed so much. For those of us out there who can still rock 40s and 42 mils, 36 just draws you back to a different time, you know? Watch Champion asking, what did you miss? 2 hours of the show. Not much happened, though. I mean, not much exciting things happened. I need to plaster myself with some more alcohol and maybe it will get a bit more exciting. Hitting the whiskey. I'll be with you in a moment. Giuseppe saying, got to go. Absolute pleasure having you here. I would imagine it's probably like 2 a.m. where you are in the world. And there's mention about best way to get a photo to me. Yes, Jeffrey. In the description of this video, you will see under the show more section, my email is linked if you'd like to send something in. These are the top 100 shots from last year. Watch Champion asking what whiskey. Let's go up and find it again. Oh my, we've done pretty well. Jason with the Datejust. I'm drinking. It's called Highland Park Viking Honor. It's a bit of an outlier in this space, and I thought to try it. It's kind of peaty, very charcoal heavy, but so smooth. You can't actually believe that it is as smooth as it is. And did I just say that right? Look at the detail on the bottle. It's awesome. It's really quite quirky. It won an award this year, a Spirit Award of some kind. Awesome whiskey. Such a beautiful photograph. I cannot commend. I mean, as far as a Rolex, as far as one of the best shots of the series, this to me is also a top contender. Drinking port, Julian. Jeez, it's good. Congratulations. Single malt Dura. I love it. We can just chat about whiskeys for hours. I am by no means a whiskey head. It's becoming a hobby during the winter months, but other than that, thanks for this, Jason. This to me is just absolutely stunning shot of the Datejust. Can't get better. Now we're moving into a completely different category. We're looking at micro brands. Would we call it a micro brand? Jeremy sent in a Weekend Warrior. I don't know how is it. I don't even know if it's called the Weekend Warrior. This must have been months ago when he sent it in. So Baltic Weekend. He mentioned in the email Weekend Warrior, but it's an example of another sector dial. It's awesome. Really is clean. I love the photograph. I do love it. The texture on the shirts and how it matches the texture on the dial, and it's just so much. Yeah, Andreas only missed some rare and attractive pieces. There were some rare and attractive pieces. Let's be real. There's been some good stuff. I've been very fortunate to see what I've been able to over the last year. Drinking Pinot Grigio. Wow, it's awesome. We could have maybe we can do like a beverage shot with our watches one day. That could be pretty cool. Okay, so another sector dial piece. This photo just is captured so well, and you can understand why I featured it. It's incredible. Another right wrist wearer, which is always a joy, always a pleasure. And I don't know how Baltic managed to make these sector dials. If they are what am I trying to say? If these are all collaborative pieces, or if they are in fact their own in-house approach. Boringly slightly better, Freddie Turner. Awesome. I didn't know the Baltic is a French brand, Megan. That's amazing. Okay, I've learned something new. Tell you what, you guys are a wealth of knowledge, and I'm just the conduit. I just sit here talking about it. I mean, I really didn't know it was a French maker. As far as sector dials go, I mean, you can't really go wrong. I think, if I remember right, Baltic teamed up with Worn and Wound, and they made a salmon dial sector series, and they looked stunning. I would recommend having a look. Baltic, Worn and Wound, and you could find sector dials, man. They just have their own flair to them, I believe. And we focused on sectors a second ago. It's nice to see how these elements rotate around. The numerals rotate around the dial. Open 6s, open 9s, bit of a serif on the 7. The 8 is upside down. Lots of little quirks. Excellent as a daily wearer, don't you think? It's not a collab. Thanks, Andreas. Personally think Yema overtakes Baltic and Longines now. Yeah, I mean, Yema is doing some good stuff. I so look forward to seeing what else they produce in the coming months. I need to enjoy some Yema in my life. I do need to get on the Yema train. I've bought an Oris. I have to pick up a Yema. Photos with drinks in February. Currently doing January. Ooh, Mark. And I'm planning on cutting in February. I've put on like over 10 kilos over the last 3 months from working out in the negative temperatures. It's been so good. Calisthenics has been my thing. Okay, moving on. Jeremy, I don't know if this is the same Jeremy. It's not. Other wrist. This was also going to be a cover photo. I think it might have been at one stage. It's an automatic Speedmaster that we don't see. Anyway, I was saying, yeah, I've put on like well over 10 kilos thanks to calisthenics in the snow and everything there. So I've been just busy doing that while focusing. It's been so good, I can tell you. But working out in like 4 degrees is not great. Keto, yes. Watch and pray, absolutely. So it's been my bulking time. It has been. And in order to last and withstand the cold, I've been trying to put on some fat too. So come February, I'm going to be cutting it all out, cutting out all the carbs and going back down to losing some flab, keeping the muscle. Amazing. Calisthenics, ladies and gentlemen. Highly recommend. Yeah, winter bulking, I love it. Cross pen, yes, it is. This shot was amazing. This is another one of these submissions that came in months and months back. And to me, it's just so well captured. You just can enjoy every little element, you know, the accents on, I mean, even to the dial. I think this shot is like 10 megabytes in size. So many little touches here, the blue elements, the notebook. The automatic Speedmasters are definitely not the most loved in this space, I guess because they go against the grain from what we expect to see with the Speedmaster today, the professional. But then again, I do love the balance, how they've put the script on the right side, how it matches the date window in a way, counterbalances the subdials there. Awesome shot, awesome watch, as we've said many, many times. Yeah, dry January. I should have done that too, Mark. How did you celebrate? Oh, you probably did celebrate New Year's. Okay, so now you're currently cutting for dry January. Got it. We could do a show around that, though. It'd be a lot of fun. Jeffrey's saying I lost 40 pounds, around 20 kilos since June 30. No carbs. Wow. Yeah, can definitely discuss diets. I'm a big proponent for ketogenics. I don't know everyone else out there. There's definitely some who don't appreciate that lifestyle. It served me well, served my family very well. Can talk about that at length if you like. Cutting out carbs, I think is important. Cutting out glucose and, you know, all that stuff, all the inflammatory things. Right on. Now, these are, it's a trio of submissions from Jeffrey. I don't know where they came from, but this to me, I chose them specifically because it is such a gorgeous 3-watch set. in this space. Cannot. So let's start. Breguet Classique 5277. 96-hour power reserve, sub-seconds, Breguet hands, Romans, double Breguet at the top. It's just a class act for what this watch is. I think it's rose gold, if I'm not wrong, and is terrific. But we're not done, because we've just had a look at a Breguet. We're going to be looking at a Jaune and a Vacheron in a second. And these three as a set, amazing. Just amazing. And everyone's talking about diet. Oh, what did I do? What did I say? Yeah, ketogenics. God, definitely don't want to talk about that, because that'll be us for the rest of the night. 5277, stunning. I cannot get enough of this watch. I love how they address, when it comes to dress watches, the idea of asymmetry. How you have these components like a power reserve on the right hand side here, and yeah, there's so much to it. Beautiful. So okay, here we go. 5277, and then we jump to a Souverain from FP Jaune. I love this trio set. So this is his next watch that he sent in. It must have been like one of the first series of submissions that we had a look at. Another example of asymmetry. We've got a power reserve on the right. We've got a sub-seconds on the left-hand side. Typical to Jaune's identity and its language. Love it. The black accents, the almost cream dial. Look at the photograph itself is such high res. It's just amazing. So you can see why I chose these three. Jeffrey, all my fault. Talking about diet? Yes, it is. That's the problem. When I bring up a talking point, then the chat goes mad about the subject, and it's like, oh shit, what have I done? Right. Any more comments? Let's see. Kevin saying, I attended whiskey tasting event November 2019. Awesome. Panerai Boutique. How cool is that? They featured Scotch. My faves are Delmore King Alexander, Highland Park, 18 King Pride. I am blown away by Highland Park. I've never even seen the name before. Everyone says jump on the Glenmorangies and the Glenfiddichs and all the other names. Got to say, Glenmorangie is amazing too. I want to try more Highland Park in the future. All right. Let's see what else is going on in the chat. I'm missing a lot of you here. Anyway, more talk about whiskeys now. It's a great time. So we've just seen a gorgeous Breguet, a stunning Jaune, and then the nail in the coffin, Vacheron Historique Triple Calendar, 1942. Should I say Calandria, right? This watch is a darling in the space that many are jumping on, that they love for the uniqueness factor in the space. I just loved this 3-watch selection, which is why I chose it. I think it just speaks so well to the individual brand identities. They all capture everything that we like about classic designs. There's some modern in places. This with the teardrop lugs, this is from 1942 as a recreation, but it's very 50s in a way too, with the reverse teardrop arrangements. And look at that dial. I don't know if Blue Shirt Buddha is watching, but he absolutely adores this watch for all the right reasons, I think. Day, date, month, sub-seconds. How cool is that for a selection of 3? I actually thought about how I could make these on the cover photo itself, these 3 selections. Breguet 5277, FP Jaune, Chronometer Souverain, and the Vacheron Historique Triple Calendria. I mean, I love watches that represent their brand so well, and in this space, honing down your collection to a few pieces. I think it's an annual, Julian. No way to tell, right? I do think it's an annual. I mean, Vacheron doesn't really skimp when it comes to their movements. So yeah, love the 2s. There's so much character. So some open 6s, serifs on the 7, the 8. There's so much detail to it. Love it. Another rare and unique model in this area. So Jeffrey, love him. Absolutely great. Moving on next to Jeremy. And Jeremy, your watch was featured on the cover a couple of months back. Funny, we were speaking about Zodiac GMTs, and now we have one to have a look at. This photo by itself, I think, is over 20 megabytes in size. The resolution, the quality of this image is immense. How amazing is that? Zodiac Aerospace GMT with all the red accents, typical, 60s elements to the dial. We've got a racing strap there. And it just speaks so true to its time period. Another great, if John is still watching the show, would recommend this as an example to look at. It's a beautiful watch for what it is, what it represents. I don't know if the bezel is loomed, But yeah, Glenn is an excellent name. Tell you what, it's so funny. I can remember I'm not from the UK. I'm from Africa, where it's wine country. So coming to the UK, I said, okay, consciously, I'm going to try whiskeys. That's going to be my thing, my jam. And it's been a good time. You start learning what I've found. I mean, my favorites at this point in time is anything with citrus and vanilla notes, if I can find them. It's much softer. It's not harsh. If you can find a citrus or a vanilla single malt, you're golden. Absolutely golden. Megan saying rare and unique things. Yes, this is rare and unique. The last photo is not, I would say, rare and unique though. I haven't actually highlighted anything for the end of the show, believe it or not. I've been very lazy in this category. So yeah, it's good. How to be featured in 2021's top 100 wrist shots. Huge file size, random objects and shot, matching sleeve of footage. Nefarion, that's one of the best comments. I think I need to pin that or something. I think I'll actually comment that in the description of this video when it's finished. That's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, that's probably it. Hey, that's how you get a winning shot. High res, matching sleeve, foliage in the background, match your strap with the foliage, obviously. It's such a laugh. I love it. Right, Jeremy. I think we're moving on to another Jeremy. I don't know if it's the same one. Maybe it's a different one. I don't know. We're jumping onto Doxa, all of a sardine. Now, this being the Doxa sub Serta, I know everyone loves me, right? Not really. I'm actually quite hated in the real world. No, kidding. All right, so Doxa sub 200, 130 years. Hold on a sec. Is this commemorating 130-year anniversary? No. Can't believe that. That's amazing. So this is like, I was actually chatting about this with the Explorer owner. We went and we actually got to hang out before the world closed down again. And he mentioned to me that if you want something that lies very closely in with the Seamaster MOD model that we love so much, the 165 or the 166 we featured earlier, this is probably your closest bet to that model nowadays. It has Lyre lugs, that the dial and everything looks similar. So this is almost like the modern take on the Seamaster that we know. So okay, so I'm trying to remember this shot. It was because he was surfing on the day, and I just thought it's so apt. It works so well in the setting. Surfing with it over the wetsuits, excellent environment, nice beads of rice bracelet. Yeah, I agree. On a rash vest. Is that the maker is? I wasn't much of a surfaholic. Note how the 6, 9, 12 markers are longer than the rest. I didn't notice that. Brilliant insight there, Wisconsin watch guy. Very subtle, rare and attractive. Looks good. Really nice. And they're not, I mean, look at the little details they did here, like the serifs on the 14 and then the hands. The Doxa print itself, you have serifs on the X and the A. I like it. I do like it. Thomas, I hope you're doing okay. I mean, it's a marathon show, and the fact that you can stick with us is an absolute joy. Having to take a break, I can agree. I mean, we're 20 past 12 in the UK at the moment. Awesome. Vibrant dial. I want to do videos on Doxa. They're doing some great stuff at the moment with their pieces. Okay. Moving next to John. John with an O, no H. We have, and this, he sent in a whole series of watches, if I remember right, but this to me stood out above the rest, above and beyond. Zenith Pilot from the 1950s or 60s. He doesn't know exactly where this watch came from, but it's such a stunning photograph. And I mean, how can you deny? With a bunt strap, very Flieger-esque, vintage, captures its time period so well, reverse tuxedo dial in a way. It's so legible. It's got these syringe-styled hands that we know. So I think Nefarion actually hit the nail on the head exactly when it comes to sending in submissions. Make sure you feature some sleeve. Make sure it's high res. Make sure it's just, it's so funny. That is so funny. I love it. Your observations are better than mine, I tell you what. Yeah, it's good. Good time. Enjoying it. Hitting the coffee again. The dregs of the coffee. There was someone mentioned that I should be trying the Macallan 18. I think I picked up a Macallan 12, and I wasn't very impressed. I can't remember the one that I picked up. But it just, at this, like I said, at this point, I'm enjoying whiskeys that have a note to them, whether it's a sherry cask, whether it's bourbon cask, whether it's either citrus or vanilla. I'm getting such a kick, or toffee, if there's like a toffee element to it as well. I get such a kick out of drinking a whiskey that's smooth, but also has this nice undertone to it. I'm not so much of a fan of a whiskey that just tastes like whiskey anymore. I need a little bit of X factor to it for me to enjoy it casually, if you know what I mean. Okay. I also drink whiskeys neat. So yeah, Glenmorangie is amazing. I love the original. I picked up the original and the red box. I don't know what it's called. The red box. Yeah. Awesome looking Zenith. I love it. Just represents its time so well. Tuxedo dial again. Beautiful. To John, the next John with an H. We have a 116000 blue. This watch shares the same with the Air King, I believe. And how can you not appreciate this photograph? It looks amazing. We're chatting more about Try Bowmore Watch Champion. Thank you. Yeah, I got it. I'll say this out loud so I can remind myself. For Sherry, go for Glenn Farkless, 15-year-old, 25. Skip the 18 or 21. I'll tell you what, I mean, they're not cheap, huh? Gotta say, it's blown me away that whiskeys can, just in that zone of 15 to 25, you're looking at 200, 300 plus pounds per bottle. I'm not that far into the hobby yet. I know 40 to 50 I'm fine with, but going anywhere further is kind of like, it's kind of a yikes. But that's just me at the moment, Right. Did I say microbrand? I didn't say Zenith was a microbrand. Please, Lord, don't tell me I said that. That would be embarrassing. So yeah, Oyster Perpetual. If you want to know someone who's chatted about them way too much over the last couple of weeks, check out the video that I did. It was like 30 minutes long. Discussed the full range of these watches and their merits, I think, in the space. Yeah, they're great. I love this photo. He has this under lighting. I don't know how he managed to capture it so well, but it's awesome. Still getting whiskey suggestions. This is great. Miles, Talisker, La Poreg, or Lagavulin. Drink with the men. I will, yes, I'm going to list these. I'll list them all down. Miles, thank you. At the moment, I'm still starting out. Is this an OP or an Explorer 1? Serta, it's an OP. This is a good way for you to jump into the Explorer kind of territory. If you hate the Rolex Mercedes hand, this is a nice way to jump in with the standardized layout. It's a great looking piece. I think it's a 34 mil. I think it shares the same reference as the Air King in this category, and they mixed and matched their dials so much. There's lots of variety in this area. Okay, thank you for this, John. To Juan next. Right. Oh, which do I prefer? Soda says. I'm not a fan of the OP with the quarter Arabics as much. It's almost like I just feel the quarter Arabics are more true to the Explorer. I think that's their style. There are some touches that I do enjoy, like the crown at the top instead of the triangle. But yeah, it's divisive. I'm in such a bad headspace with the word Explorer at the moment. And Ira's saying it's 36. Thank you. It's a 36 mil, not 34. Apologies. Okay. Next to Juan. Now, we have featured Juan's submissions often in the past. Juan has sent us everything. I don't know how best. I've saved 4 of his shots that we're going to be using. There's still debates going on about whiskey. I can't keep track. Highland Park. Yeah, I'd like to enjoy some Highland Park. Okay. So yeah, this is not a Rolex though, Neil. So this is a Breguet 5157 Classique. It's the true staple of the Classique line in many ways. And yeah, Juan, like I said, I don't know if you're still with us, but he's sent in so much in the past. It's very hard to hone in on the pieces that we focus on. I've only picked up the modern stuff from him. But just such an excellent shot. Great lighting. We get to see all the elements on the dial. We've just been spoiled by the 5277 a second ago. But you know what? Still a great looking model. Simple. It sums up Breguet so well in this line. I'm loving it. Like I'm just chatting away to myself, and the chats are going on about like, Oyster Perpetuals and diamonds and champagne, and I don't know what's cracking. Don't get much more classic than this, Freddie. I agree. I do agree. Or classique, right? Don't get much more classique than this. From Uruguay, Marcello, thank you for joining us. And for everyone else who is still watching, pleasure having you here. I hope you are enjoying the whatever this is. Glenmorangie La Santa, yes. Mr. C, that's the model. That's what I picked up. It's in a red box. I'm enjoying it. At first, I thought it was a bit aggressive for what it is, but then you notice that there's lots of complexity to it. And that's the secret to whiskey at the end of the day. You get whiskey that just tastes like whiskey, and then you find stuff that has, mixtures of coal, elements, toffees, whatever fruit you would like. It's a great time. I'm enjoying it. You have to have a very different palate next to red wine. I gotta say, red wine is a lot more subtle and it's much easier to drink. So yeah, it's been a good time learning about whiskeys over the last couple of months. Moving on, next from Juan, day date. This was one of his most recent acquisitions, and this featured last week, I think. Jim saying, great show. And Roy's saying, absolute pleasure. I hope you are just sitting there listening to me droning on. It's a good time. It's always a good time. This is his most recent pickup. It's the day date in platinum. We spoke about this a lot 2 weeks ago, I think. And it's just beautiful. It's such a great shot. It's so difficult to find a good submission from Juan because they're all stunning. Opening up the Fisherman's Friends tin again because the voice is going. Here we go. Shuffle it around. What are we going to hit? Please don't be blackcurrant. Okay, let's take this one. It's like a lottery, I tell you. Oh, damn it. Guess what I found? One of the last black currants. Got to wash it down with something now. It sucks. Right. Watch is out of the world. Yes, it is, Miles. This is another good example of a watch that just stands head and shoulders above. Also subtle for what it is in the platinum. It doesn't look too brash and bright. The stenciled X, yeah, it took me by surprise. Yeah, I mean, that's something that we focused on the last show. Oh God, my voice is going. I need to hit the water now before I completely lose it. Ricola. 4. No, I was asking about the number 4. Have we spoken about the Watchmakers 4 before? Yeah. So this is their way of balancing out the 4 and the 8 on the dial. Of course, we know that 4 doesn't look like this. They call it the Watchmakers 4 for just this silly reason. And it's the most nerdiest thing you can probably ever talk about in the hobby. It's great. Not sure about the shade of blue. It is very bright. But the turquoise is awesome. We've spoken about it enough. Let's move on next. Another shot that he sent in maybe a couple of months back too. He sold this watch to pick up the day date. He decided not to, he doesn't want sports watches in precious metals. I think that was his debate. Yes, he's there. He's in the chat. Great. You wanted to get rid of your sports watches in precious metals and focus on something else. So you sold this highly sought after, rare and collectible 116509 Daytona with the gorgeous blue dial for a day date. I think you won in that. I really think you did win with this selection. You can't get much better than a platinum day date, right? A white gold Daytona, they're kind of everywhere nowadays, Love the color scheme on this though, the navy blue, red accents. Very wise to keep to steel sports. Yeah, I think it's nice to draw a line somewhere. I agree, Rob. You draw a line somewhere in this category and you say, okay, with sports, I'm going to stick with steel. Precious metals, I will focus in on something a bit more unique. I'm saying unique deliberately. In the day category, it's a watch that's defined as being something very much like a dress watch. It has this awesome blend. I mean, it always has been a precious metal watch, right? They don't come in steel. Platinum is just this X factor on top of it all. Nice, really nice. And last from Juan, I don't know why I only featured your high-end pieces. I should have actually looked into your vintage models too. You did send us a 5196. I thought this shot by itself is just amazing. We've seen a 5196 already in the Maserati. I think that's awesome. Wood grain in the background. We have already featured a 5196. I guess I have a couple of duplicates for some reason. But this is just another excellent example of capturing this watch in this lighting, in this zone. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's almost like a lot of the watches that we are seeing, and we've seen so far, have been super high end. I feel like 2/3 of the submissions have been pretty expensive in this category. Don't worry, there's going to be some more, what should I say, affordable pieces in this zone too. We're not done yet. There's about, 30 more submissions to go. We're doing well. So Juan, I'm definitely going to be honing in on your pieces more next year, given the chance, whatever you like to send in. Yeah, Juan, I can tell you, Juan is the most diligent when it comes to submitting watches to the show. He'll send me 10 to 15 individual emails of all the watches in his collection. And it gets a bit excessive. I think I must have about 50 or between 50 and 80 of your photographs by now. Also great, I didn't notice, on a blue strap. And it looks like you wear the deployant backwards. I can understand why you would do that. The Patek, the larger deployant, can get a bit irritating on the wrist. Also, I mean, you can't deny this watch is just, as far as a piece that represents dress Patek, you can't go wrong with the original. You know, the reference 96, it's been around since the 30s, I believe, and has just gone from strength to strength. It's entry level. Can't use that word for a watch like this. Yeah, it's awesome. Okay, but funnily enough, we're jumping to Julian. I don't know if this is the same Julian who's in the chat, but we're going to have a look at some Lunga. Have we actually looked at Lunga? Ooh, now we're talking. You can see why I saved these. There have been a couple of outliers in this space that deserve some view time. So on the left-hand side, of course, I didn't name these. These are old photographs from months back. We have a Saxonia big date, I think they call it, on the left. It's also, I think it's a Saxomatic. This one on the left is a Saxomatic. It's an automatic variant. It's a really nice model. And then we have a Lunga 1 with rose gold, and it's just, I love this pairing. Very different in the Lunga category. There are your watches, Julian. Great timing. Good to have you here. Your Patek is also going to be featured in a moment. Awesome story behind the watch we'll be looking at in a second. I like these two because they're not the cliche Lungas that we look at. The white dial Lunga 1, the standard silver dial Saxonias. This with the big date, I have a feeling, just maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Julian, but I think this is an automatic. And if that's the case, honestly, I think it's one of the best value for money automatic Lungas out there. As far as a dress watch goes, can it get any better than this? You have the large date, which is like their staple. Sub-seconds, so it's a dress watch with added influence. You have double batons at the quarters. There's too much to focus in on. You love the watch on the right, Mr. C. Given the chance, I'd be jumping on this. The tuxedo dial to me just sings. I would totally wear it. But also, you don't see these gray, what would you call this kind of dial? Graphite, a graphite dial on this. And I think it's in rose gold too. This is quite, it's also Doppelfeder. This is one of the originals, no? Automatic oversized date. Thank you, Julian. This is also one of the originals in this category too, I believe. Oh, it's so nice. This 2-watch Lunga set is great. We're going to be looking at another one in a moment. One of my favorites. I don't know if Tillman is watching the show, but his Lunga 1 has been featured many, many times and deserves all the attention. Yeah, amazing. How can you not enjoy these two pieces? I think Lunga, I've always had a fascination. The only Lunga I've handled is that platinum datograph. Amazing. Lunga 1 from 2004. Yeah, we're going to be having a look at Lunga 1 from 1995 in a second, Julian, which is just amazing. Right. Sort of French gray. I like that, Freddie. I've been missing a lot of you in the chat again. Sorry about that, everyone. Does it have a small rotor in the Saxomatic? Reader's asking. I believe it does. I don't even know if Lunga does micro rotors. I have a feeling it's a full-size rotor, actually. It's like a skeletonized element. Might need to help me there. Oh, this Lunga 1, Julian, is from 2004. So it is one of the earlier models. I love that. Really love it. Double spring barrel. Yeah, these are awesome pieces. Let's move on next. This has been featured on the cover. I think this was a cover shot a couple of months back. And the story behind this, it's a Patek Reference 5205G, white gold. The way that he got this watch is a tale as old as time. Wait for it. He jumped onto the Rolex Hulk hype as the Hulk was discontinued. He sold it, and from that sale was able to get this watch. I believe it's an annual calendar. Correct me if I'm wrong. But he picked up an annual calendar, Patek Philippe, one of the best executions in this category. I think white gold, tuxedo dial. The sub-dials are so nicely arranged. The white accents work so well on the dial with the sub-dials there, the moon phase. He traded in a steel Hulk Submariner for this. I mean, it's like one of the biggest wins I've ever heard of in my time. How is it even possible that the demand is that way inclined that you can do that sort of thing in this? So, I mean, when it comes to really giving the middle finger to the world, you can do some good stuff in the zone. Yeah. But I mean, of course, not everyone loves dress watches. Many like sports watches. Yeah, so watch champion, really. From a Hulk to a Patek. And many are saying they would still keep their Hulks. I mean, that's the thing. You can't, not everyone loves dress watches. In my case, I probably wouldn't own either of the watches, to be honest with you. Given the chance, I would be on board with the Lunga one. Sorry, not the Lunga one. This Datamatic Saxonia, given the chance. That would be my poison in this category. But still, even still, love it. That alone tells you how much some Rolexes are hype. That's the main story. I think that's the main thing I wanted to try and get across. Why I featured this as the cover photo for the show all those months back. It just shows you where you can really jump in different areas. But Nefarion likes green watches. I mean, we know that for sure. It's awesome. Okay, Julian, love these. Would love to feature more of them in the future. My email is in the description. Love to chat with you and catch up. We're jumping next to Kem. And I think this is the only professional. No, there's another one we're going to have a look at later on. I kind of liked how the shot was taken, almost like in a car park, I think. And this being the Seamaster Great White on a black rubber strap. Oops, come back, darling. Not finished with you yet. And I don't know if this is the colloquialism or if it's the actual name of this watch. I always just coined it the black white, the black white, the Great White. Time for some more coffee. But if I had the option of picking out this watch, I would jump on the rubber strap. I think this makes for such an excellent daily driver. Great size. With a rubber strap, it tones down the size on the wrist a little bit, so it's a bit more wearable. Excellent photograph. You can appreciate all the elements on the dial very well. Time for some more whiskey. No, I think I need to back off from the whiskey. I mean, it's been, 2.5 hours. I don't want to start slurring my words because then you just won't understand me. It'll be fun for you. It won't be fun for me. It looks best on rubber. I do agree. I think, it just matches the bezel so much nicer. It feels like there's a more equal balance between the white and the black components on the watch, as well as the steel. Yeah, nice piece. And the bracelet itself, I haven't been able to get hands-on with the Modern Professional. Maybe if someone would like to lend me a Modern Professional to review, that would be good fun. Since I've torn the Explorer 39 to pieces, I guess I could tear the Seamaster apart, even though I'm a diehard fan. So just saying my first luxury, it's not a first kinder. This is a luxury watch. You're spending like 3-4 grand on a watch. It's a luxury watch. The bracelet itself, I'm on the fence, because I do love the fact that the bracelet doesn't taper. And the modifications made, it's very bulky for what it is though. And I'd love to experience it a bit more. The weight on the wrist is like 120 plus grams. So it'd be nice to feel how that works. Anyway, Kem, I love the shot. I don't know how old it is, but captures what this watch is. This is if I had the opportunity to pick up a Seamaster in this Modern Professional format, this would be the one for me. Awesome piece. Also just love that little red accents there. You can break up the dial so easily in this format. Right. To Marcello. Where are you, Marcello? If you're still here with us, if you've even watched the show with us today, we are looking at a micro brand for a change. Love this photograph. Marcello has sent in some incredible stuff over the course of this year. Industrial design student. I'm so flattered that an industrial design student can watch these shows and enjoy the same things I do very intimately, I think, because we kind of feel the same way about a lot of watches. He just picked up a Santos for himself and I think he's like 21. If I was his age, getting into this hobby and having such a great, like a diverse taste, I think it's amazing. It really is amazing. I only got into the hobby, later parts, like 20, 23, 24, I don't know. But he has a great eye for detail. A designer's eye, we could say. Now, notice we've just seen the Oyster Perpetuals being released and all the new color schemes. This has been out for a while. The Helios Seaforth and this color especially got a lot of attention to it. Pencil hands, you've got crown guards. It's simple, elegant, effective, nice, really nice for a micro brand as well. Everyday wearer, nice looking piece. Speaking of which, we're actually going to be having a look at an Oyster Perpetual in a moment, and it's going to be the blue dial. It's funny. Reed saying the 300mm Great White would be the only one I would like to acquire. Same, Reed. I feel the same way. Not that I don't like the blue dial, though. I think the blue dial is just, it's funny because I think it was brought out in 1993, my birth year. And I feel like there's a tie to me and that watch. because it's a birth year kind of piece. So the blue matching up with the James Bond storyline and everything there kind of speaks to me. But yeah, can talk about that for ages. Wisconsin Watch Guy saying Hodinki's James Stacy has been talking a lot about Helios before he joined. There's some great, I mean, they've done some good stuff, and I think you can modify them yourself on their websites. One of the micro brands that I would recommend having a look at in this category, I think there's lots of opportunity. This in particular, the blue dial looks awesome on here. Okay, gonna motor on through. I'm interested to see the silver champagne dial, talking about the 39. Me too, with the gold accents on the batons. Very interesting. Moving to Mark. I don't know who this Mark is. Oh, well, whoever this Mark is, I think this is the only no date Submariner that we're featuring in this 5-digit reference format. I'm just checking the list. I don't see any more. No, it's been a good time. Like we've been able to see. So this shot to me is also one of the top contenders, best of the selection. There's been 3 or 4. I think there's 3 or 4 outliers that really have stood out compared to the rest. This to me is just beautiful. I think it's like a 19. It's got a hollow end link. So I'd imagine it's kind of 90s era. Someone can help me there maybe. But the condition is great. It looks, the photograph itself, we can all enjoy. Oh, Eric Bell saying U series. How do you know this? U series 2-liner 97, 98. God, I don't know how you know this, Eric, but amazing. Given the chance, if I could find a birth year, 1993, 14060 in mint condition, yeah, I'd be jumping on that. Not that that's going to happen now that they all cost 10 grand on the gray markets. It's just unreal, you know. Seto asking, what would you recommend for a birth year of 80? Like 1980, I hope. You know what? Speedmaster Professional. Go for it. If you can get a Speedmaster with an 861 from 1980, just in a beautiful condition, maybe a bit tropicalized, maybe with a ghosted bezel, that would be amazing. I think that would be a nice. That's the one that jumps to mind. There's something special about a vintage Speedmaster in that category, unless you have one already. So, yeah, gotta love. This to me just sums up the last swan song of the vintage Submariner before we got to the super cases and everything there. There's too much to talk about. I think I would fall head over heels with the sub given the chance. Anyway, 2-liner, yeah. And talking about the bracelets, yeah, the bracelet is very light. Yeah, with the hollow center links and everything there. Anyway, beautiful shot. I think the presentation's gorgeous. You can understand why this became a cover photo. Everything could fit there for the script, and yeah, it's just amazing. Mark, stunning. Jumping on to another Moser, would you believe? This is Mark from Talking Watches. I'm actually going to put his description. I think he has a YouTube channel. Yes, he does. Talking Watches on YouTube. Have a look. He talks about his collection often. And Nefarian says it's a 93. Oh, awesome. You have a 161. Awesome. I don't know if Megan is still with us or if she has passed out or gone for a run, whatever else. She is on the other side of the world at the moment. But this is her absolute darling, the Green Mamba, the Streamliner Central Seconds. And it's really taken the world by storm, I think, in this zone. 40 millimeters. Something I didn't realize is it's a 40 millimeter watch. And it must work so well on any wrist. Honestly, it must work so well. And they are just going from strength to strength. The script is amazing. The Fume dial, it just speaks so true to its language. And I like that Moser is taking those 70s influences, but are blending in their own way of incorporating this cushion case with integrated bracelet arrangement. And yeah, are those minutes? Why not aligned? So are we talking minutes? Hold on a sec. Minutes as in this. So what they've done here is they've taken the idea of a racing minute track that we would see on chronographs from the 70s and incorporated that into the watch itself. Because the original Streamliner, I did a video about it. It's just called the Moser Streamliner, I think. They focused it on being a chronograph, a 60-minute chronograph. So they've tried to incorporate that into the standard every day. And it just adds a bit more dynamicness to it. It feels more 70s that way, you know. Emerald green's amazing. Yes, Thomas, it's just, it's great. Must be so nice to see this in natural light. And you can understand why I chose it in this category, because the way it plays in the light is just so nice. Right. Moser stole race design from me, Bell. I mean, there've been a couple of brands. I get alerted to these things sometimes, and I need to have a look at that. So anyone out there, the Abel 1983 Sport Classic from Wristwatch Experience, Moses stole this idea of the lobster tail. I'd like to have a look at that more. Great watch, great shot, Mark. Adore it. It is such a cool piece. Moving next to another Mark. This is Mark L. We featured this submission 2 weeks ago, I think. The Grand Seiko SBGX091, magnetic resistant, 4,000 amperes per minute, per meter. I don't know. Again, me and my scientific notations. 40,000, it means it's a half Gauss. I think we chatted about this a while ago. But the photograph is just incredible. How could this not be featured as one of the best? White sleeve, cream style dial. Very true to Grand Seiko's approach, the way they do the cases and the hands. Also enjoy that they actually have loom on the hands and at the quarters. There's lots of little details and elements there. Also, the resolution of these shots. I mean, if I zoom right in, it's like you can't actually believe the quality of these photographs. Do they call it the samurai? Or no saying? I really don't know. I'm loving the chats. I'm trying my best to very much Japanese design cues. Yeah. As you know, Eric, you actually hit the nail on the head. If you want anything to represent Japanese design cue, it's white with red accents, right? It feels very true to form. It's probably like the archetype of a Japanese watch in this current setup. Yeah, I agree. Looks so sharp. They do. They really do. They call them Dauphine styled hands, I would imagine, with this arrangement. Amazing. We featured some good Grand Seikos. These photographs they just do the watches so much justice. It's like marketing on the nth degree. Next, we're jumping to Matthew's use. We're just about to hit the 3-hour mark, I think. We're doing pretty well. I think the show will be done by about 3.5, which is quite typical. The Rising Sun, Reed says, yeah, I mean, it is. It does feel that way for sure. Ampere per meter squared. Google. Really? Thank you, Soda. Geez, I tell you what, me and my scientific notations, it's been a while. Okay, to Matthew's use. This is one of my favorites. Honestly, it's one of my favorites because it's just not a watch we ever look at. I adore it. Are you ready? Are we ready? Talking about the idea of getting a yellow dial Oyster Perpetual. This is a Patek Neptune reference 5080. I featured this, must have been maybe 3 months ago. This is just one of these, and he sent in another great shot that we're going to have a look at in a moment. What a beautiful photograph of such a peculiar watch. Can you believe how good the texture is on the bezel, on the bracelets? Getting lots of tags going in. Just into saying Moses Streamliner. Yep, I agree. Just into extremely rare and attractive. It's great. This is great. Polishing of the Grand Seiko is incredible. It is. It really is. So jumping to the Neptune, I mean, this watch is an outlier. It's not something that we look at often. It's a watch that kind of faded into obscurity. Just as a thank you. It's a watch that faded into obscurity. I think it's like early 2000s, if I remember right. Someone can maybe, Julian probably knows this a lot better. Russell, you probably know this a lot better than most, talking about reference numbers and timelines. What I dig about this watch is it's just so... If you saw Ulysses Nodon printed on the dial, you'd probably believe it is, right? You've got Romans at the quarters. You've got 5, 10, 15. I love the color of the dial. This Jubilee beads of rice bracelet. I don't know what they were smoking when coming up with this, but it's awesome. Must have been some good stuff. Date at the 6. I know, Seda. I know. It's something that Patek never does. I don't think they have any arrangement with the date at the 6 o'clock. But just the fluting on the bezel, there's so much character to the watch. I guess at the end of the day, that's what you want. This dial has seen some wear and tear over time. The quality of the photo is so good that we're seeing a hair actually get in the way of the image. So Russell saying my 5085 was 2005, so I guess similar. Okay. And you just see that the dial has seen some age. It's definitely not a watch for everyone, but I'd really dig it. I would totally wear this piece. It's one of those outliers that you never see. Deserves attention. Really does. Okay. Matthews, you sent in something else. The Running Man. Oh my, we haven't seen you for months. You haven't. Yeah, it's awesome having you here. Welcome again. Jeez, we've been running the show for what, 2 hours, 50 minutes at this point, and we've been seeing the best of this year, or last year, should I say. Sam Ray saying would wear. I agree. It's amazing. What? The hair doesn't come with a watch. Well, it can, I guess, if you really want it. You didn't include the Neptune and GF or GP. The gold and silver is off-putting in the design. Talking about this model here, I don't even know if it is a precious metal. Someone can maybe correct me. I might need some help. Often lurk. It's a pleasure having you here, Running Man, really. Right, going to move on next, though. I've been chatting about this for way too long, as I'm putting Jim to sleep, saying he has to go. Absolute pleasure having you here, really. There's so much to learn from this hobby that we don't see, and hopefully I'm giving you something to... Oh my goodness. The photography, man. Bathyscaf, I botch your name every single time, but wherever you are in the world, please send more of these in. This is our overseas that we know and love. Blue dial on the bracelets. Ooh, how's that? Ooh, everyone who's squeamish, look away. Looks like he fell off his bike over there. So look at the quality of the photograph, man. I just can't believe it. I feel so privileged seeing this kind of stuff. It takes... I haven't looked at these. Remember, I stopped the press. I save these. I kind of file them away. Something looks good, I name it and save it. And I haven't seen these for months. So I am also in awe at how well these photos have been taken. Bathyscaf, you win. That is such a good shot. Samurai saying, do you have any tips for dealing with scratches or dents on cases? Great question. I say embrace them, personally. I think it says a lot more about the watch having a scratch or a dent. I wouldn't go so far to polish it or brush it myself. I've done a lot of tinkering in the past, and it's just, at the end of the day, I think it says a lot more about the watch that you own that has a little bit of life put into it. It's experienced something, like us. We age, so why not give that to the watch too? And in a way, when you deal with a watch that has a scratch, you treat it with less reverence. Once you have a scratch like this on the bezel, you're probably more prone to scratch it up because now it has been sullied in a way, embrace them 100%. Yeah, adds character. I don't think you need to worry about it, Samurai. I would say enjoy the watch for what it is. When it comes to selling it, if you do want to sell it one day, just be sure to be clear that there are scratches on the piece, and I'm sure the owner would, the prospective buyer would be appreciative of it. Just since thank you for the super chat. It's great to have you here as well. It's been a wild time, and I'm still very sober, so it's bad. Coffee, sticking with the last bit of coffee. Teddy Baldassar got Mr. Wonderful of Shark Tank to buy this fashion overseas. Now, Teddy has good taste. I wish I could dress as well as that guy. But yeah, nice watch. Highly recommended. I made a video over a year ago about why you should pay attention to the overseas, and it has since just catapulted. It's as hard to find as Royal Oaks and Nautilai at the moment, so unfortunate. Right, Bathyscaf, great. This next one comes in from Matt, and this was also from 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago when we had our last show. And it's the Jacques Dro Grand Second 39mm. Of course, we have to feature it again. Another rare, unique, and attractive model in this line, beautifully photographed. And one element that I really dig, the brushing on this dial radiates from this element on the sub-seconds, and the annual calendar, the date. This, such a beautiful color too. It's like a denim tropical blue. Don't know so much about the balance on the dial and how you feel about having such a small hour and minute arrangement there. It's lots of open space, but we would talk about, I think during the last show, someone mentioned that it's kind of a love child between Lunger and, not JLC, Lunger and Jean maybe? I don't know. But yeah, another great watch in this lineup. We spoke about it a lot 2 weeks ago or so. I've seen a few for Jacques Dro. I need to look them up more. On their part of the Swatch Group, Watch Champion. Don't even get me started when it comes to asking questions about Richemont, Swatch Group, and everything else. I've never kept track of that. It's pretty bad form, don't you think? You see FB Jean a bit, Samurai. Yeah, nice looking watch. Such a beautiful photograph as well. I can't get over it. The quality of these shots take me by surprise every single time. Now, how is this? The next shot we're going to have a look at is an Explorer 1. And yeah, I think this is it. This is the one Explorer 1 that we're going to be looking at. How cool is this? This is also an old submission from back in the day. This is the reference 114270 with the solid bracelet, I think. And I just love the shot. You know, you've got some natural light, you've got some sleeve. It looks right. It fits that environment very well. 36 mil. I think we've seen so many Explorer submissions last year. But this is the one I chose as the final winner from Matt. Wherever you are in the world, Matt. Nefarion says it's my favorite watch. Oh, it absolutely is. No, I'm afraid I've kind of sullied the name of Explorer for myself, which is kind of sad. Can't say I can't get back onto the train again, though. Would like to experience the 36. Would love to own a 1016, but what are the chances, you know? The crystal could have been domed, etc. We're talking about the flat Rolex crystal. Yeah, it's something that I just couldn't fall in love with. Given the chance, if I ever do pick up like a neo vintage Rolex, that'll probably be one of the first. That's why I love acrylic, man. You don't need to worry about that stuff. My first port of call will be to pick up a domed or a boxed sapphire for the watch. Blasphemy, I know, but I would quite literally change it just for the sake of being able to see the dial easier. I put a nail in the Explorer. Yeah, Watch Champion. I was rough on the watch. We spoke about it earlier on. I was crucified for it too. Awesome piece. It's such a great shot too. Again, we're talking about brilliant photography and everything there. Okay, enough about the Explorer. I have sullied it. Just go back to the 36 or look at Smith's. I mean, Smith's, I've been very fortunate to team up with Time Factors. Eddie is a great guy. And come next year, what am I saying? Come next year. We are in next year. What's going on? There's a bit of a collaborative project that we've worked on together. The first generation of a new line that we've been talking about. So that should be fun. I hope that works out pretty well. Hopefully I'll be able to review it on the page. I don't know. Try the 36 mil. Yeah, I think so, Andres. I do think. I can't believe that we're actually in the new year. It doesn't feel like it. Happy New Year again. The 15th time I've mentioned it. Right, we're moving on to Michael next. Now, this is, can you believe, another Grand Seiko. I've discovered something now. I've just realized. The Grand Seiko owners out there all just take amazing photographs. It must mean that they all have like professional setups or something. We featured so many of them during the show. Crazy, right? So this is called the GTR. I think we've spoken about this enough. The GTR edition, yes, Samray. Samray, you're a car guy, so you should like this. You know this stuff. I think it only came out as a feature with one of the limited edition GTRs that they brought out like last year, I think. I do like the quirks around this piece quite a bit. I like how they've incorporated the instrument cluster on the side here. I feel like even the typeface is true to the GTR layout. And, it's got the spring drive reserve there, which is quite typical. The two subdials, it's all ceramic. It's like 44 mils, so it wears piston head pushers. I didn't even realize that. And check, we've got double on the top and single at the base. Yeah, I'm learning these new things all the time. Is this also a GMT? I think it is also a GMT. This is complex. It's got quite a bit going on, with a white accent on the strap itself. And N something's joining us. Welcome, NS something. You won't believe this, but you're coming up very soon. We've worked this out pretty well. Welcome, NS something. This has been a great time. Been a fun show. Where do you look to read the time? No idea. This is a watch that you can just drink in for the complexity and leave the time telling aside. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I'm enjoying it. I mean, Michael, I think he's also sent in another shot. I'm finding it. There's a correlation between Grand Seiko owners and photography. I think I've featured at least 8, 9, 10 of them, not by choice. It's just because they're some of the best shots we've seen this period over the course of last year. So yeah, I really do like the inspirations here. It's so peculiar. I mean, the Grand Seiko in the corner. I'm interested in knowing Sam Ray's opinion on this watch. So they're saying spring drive rocks, but the thing is they are not considered pure mechanical watches. And I understand. And I understand what. Yeah, there's lots of little aspects to it. Clive, yes, we've missed you. Absolutely. Great to have you back. We've seen a lot. Been a lot going on here. Been a good time. Right. I'm going to move low for low of power reserve. Did they mention low here somewhere? Okay, I've got a motor on through. Speaking of GTRs, to Michael next, another Cloprof. And we saw the titanium earlier. I don't think this is. I think this is the steel ProPlot version. Also, just enjoy the colors. We've spoken about this watch enough already. I had a good time looking at one earlier that many thought was repulsive. If you didn't like that one, this is probably even worse for your tastes. Orange accents, gray dial, very easy to read. And this talk about split seconds and everything there. Yeah, I agree. But the SD gives the same precision all the way. Talking about the spring drive, yeah, I agree. Proper strap. I mean, Eric, you know your dive straps. A rubber strap on a dive watch, I think, is a go-to. It's a must. I think it also has a deployant clasp, this model by itself. Lots of little details, lots of little elements to enjoy about this piece. We've looked at them enough, though. I think we're going to move on next. Michael, this is great. I don't know if this is the same Michael. This is Michael number 3. And Nate's saying very ugly watch, but cool. Yeah, it's cool because it's ugly in a way. It doesn't make sense. Let's be honest. There's no logical approach to why and how this watch was made. It was just slapped together at the end of the day. It's just a big chunk of steel on the wrist. But then there is method to the madness in a few places, which I like. It's just so overbuilt. Eric would probably. So this is all over the SD43. I love that, Eric. He would be someone who would jump on this watch over the heavier divers in this category. Because it serves its purpose so well as far as deep diving goes. Holy smokes, Jacinta is officially engaged. Wow. Congratulations, Jacinta. I think everyone needs to pop some champagne corks. How can I do this in the chat? Let's see. Hold on a second. I'm going to try. Hold on. Bottle? No. I never understand these. No. Cheers, maybe. Will that help? No. Champagne? No. Whatever I type into the chat doesn't work. Maybe drink. Okay, I'll share a cocktail with you. Congratulations, Jacinta. That is incredible news. Really, congratulations. Wow. What a way to start a year. Holy, hope you're getting married in June. What a time. That's one way to start the year. Jeez. Okay, congratulations, Jacinta. That is absolutely amazing. Right, great way to liven me up. Jeez, I'm getting in. I'm gonna try and get another champagne bottle in. Hold on, I have to do this. Let's move on next to, I think, the next Michael in his GTI. I thought this was a great shot. As far as complexity, another car shot. There is method to the madness here, obviously. Let's see if I can find a proper champagne bottle somewhere. Just scrolling through these. I tell you, YouTube needs to make it easier for searching out these details. Let's see, champagne, yes, champagne bottle and champagne glasses. There we go. Boom. Congratulations again, Jacinta. That is incredible news. Thank you for sharing with all of us. Yeah, so Carl Cuba, what's your next watch? Anything on my radar? Great question, Carl. I have no idea. I'm really enjoying the lack of at the moment. Actually, I'm wearing a Smith's W10 field watch on a daily basis, basically switching out to the Smith's Everest on a Jubilee. Seamaster I wear on more special occasions like New Year's Eve and stuff. I'm just enjoying the sparsity, really. I'm struggling so hard to think that I'll be picking up a Rolex because it's just so much money, man. I'm just not in that space at the moment, you know. Marcello, you're joining us. Good grief. I tell you what, we featured your one of your Helios Seaforths earlier on. Welcome, Marcello. Yachtmaster. I think this is, we did have a look at a solid gold Yachtmaster earlier. This with the rhodium dial is very loved. Another car shot. Obviously, it's something that works extremely well in this Cars on Mobile Studios. Bjorna, you know more than most with your submission of that Grand Seiko. Beautiful. Yeah, been a good time. And this year, I really feel like there's going to be some good news this year for all of us. We deserve it. We all deserve it. These Yachtmasters don't have new movements. I don't believe they do. Actually, the 42 mils do, don't they? The 42 mils with the rubber straps. I think they did have something. My Rolex time will come, Reed. At this point, I don't know. Hey, I really don't know. It's kind of sad. I'll explain why. Speaking of which, we're jumping to the next OP. How cool is this? So this is Mo in San Francisco. Now, that rhymed. Funnily enough, the last time we featured this, the next shot that he sent in to us was of his cat that I called a dog. From the back, it looked like a Shiba Inu. And I know he had a good laugh. I think it must have been a couple of months back. So yeah, at the Rolex camp, it's depressing because I got into this hobby too late at this point. I think it's a catch-22. I talk about Rolex so much, like so many other channels, and that just perpetuates the interest in them. So more people pick them up, and the value of them just drives up and up. And now I'm at a point where, like, I could splurge on a Rolex today, sure, but then that's my bank account dry, right? And it's just like, is it necessary? Is it something that really speaks to me? And there's not many in this category that do speak to me much. If anything, a modern Submariner would be awesome. But otherwise, yeah, I struggle so hard with coming to terms with just the prices of these things now, where they're sitting. I'd happily drop $5,000 on a Submariner given the chance, but that's just not real anymore. It's depressing. 5,000 for, you know what I mean? I got into this hobby too late, and sadly, I've pushed the interest, like so many others. We pushed the interest in that direction, and now these watches. I mean, even this watch, this Oyster Perpetual, I think these go for $5,000 now. Of course, it has the new movement and stuff, which is great. But El Primero time, Eric Bell says, that's, speaking about it, I'm sure many will be driven to go to them now too, right? That's good. So they're saying, what's the price differences between the new OP and Datejust 41? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea. I'm not a price guy for sure. Reed saying JLC. I've been looking at a lot of JLCs and a lot of Zenith El Primeros. But I do want to get a Rolex. There's something about it that's just calling me back. I don't know what it is. And again, I have to congratulate Jacinta. Like Thomas has just super chatted. Amazing news. I mean, it's what day is it in California right now? I think you're in California. It's Saturday and it's like 8 hours behind. So it's like 7-ish in the evening, right? That's just amazing. Really, congratulations, Jacinta. What a way to start a year. God. Clive saying, no, you got into the hobby too late for Rolex. Plenty of other stuff out there. I agree. I mean, okay, should we talk about this watch? We've talked about the Tiffany enough. Nice looking piece. Funny, we're jumping to another Explorer. Explorer 2. This was one of the first cover photos for the show ever, I think, for Wrist Shot Week. And it's amazing how we've traveled. This is from Neil. And 42 mil, such an excellent shot. We get to see the details here. What was I going to say now? I lost my train of thought. Talking about being able to drive your attention somewhere else. That's an excellent point, Clive. Now is the opportunity where all the attention is on the big names. It's even Omega at the moment. I can't believe my bloody Seamaster that I picked up. I got it for what was it? Something like 3,838 pounds. Okay. They are now going for something like $6 grand. These watches are just going up, all of them, across the board in this space. And it's sad that they're getting the same amount of the higher amount of attention. Now is a good time to look at other manufacturers like Zenith, like JLC, the unwanted stuff. Moser. If you're in this space, look at Lunga, look at Moser, look at Laurent Ferrier, look at Gerard Perregaux, lots of stuff. Parmigiani as another brand, lots of examples. Not exactly cheap, but for what you're getting, good stuff. It's 5 p.m. California time. Wow, I was way off, Reed. Thank you for that. That's amazing, Megan. It's such good news. I'm so happy for Jacinta, really. I'm beaming. It's exciting. Talking about the beginning of a year. It's a way to start. Right. Please look at Cartier. I will, Wisconsin watch guy. I will. 42 mil, the first modern Rolex I ever got hands-on time with. It's a great watch. Didn't fit me very well. I think the lugs and everything there are a little bit too big for my... I do enjoy when I look at these watches, I look at lug size and bracelet and how it drapes around the wrist. And does it overextend? Does it match the size of your wrist, or, pedantic sides? Now, funny, I think Neil sent in this shot, and this also became a cover photo. He sent in 2 shots over the course of last year, and both became cover photos. Tudor Pelagos, left-hand drive, the real modern archetype of the Snowflake. So cool. Venice. Are we talking Venice as in, not Venice, California, Venice. That is amazing. I need to visit Venice. It's one of my bucket list places to go and see. Cool. Tell you, traveling Europe, given the chance now that, the world is the way it is. It's awesome news. So awesome. Debethune 2 is another good example. Jizzy Ninja. I love that name. So instead of saying it's 4:10 a.m. No, go to sleep, man, please. Jeez, like, how the hell can you still be awake? Thank you. Like, I appreciate you watching the show, but your health is more important, man. Go to sleep. You need to get a good 6 hours at least. Thank you for watching, sir. I really appreciate it. Great questions. So this was also one of the original cover photos for Wrist Shot Week. We've done over 20 of these. I think this is episode 21. Don't quote me. And it's such a good shot. I think this was in autumn, so we got some autumn time, 500 meters water resistance. I've spoken to a few owners who've had these watches, and they haven't enjoyed them as much because they're a little bit heavy. The clasps don't do much for them, and other little details. But yeah, great piece. For left-hand watch wearers, must be nice. Right hand, on the other hand, did I just say that? I don't know how comfortable it would be having the crown sticking into your hand, but it's all experience. Pelagos is awesome. And funny, we're going to have a look at another one in a moment. And there's something, if you are still here with us, we have a surprise. And there's something and his JLC Master Control. He sent in a few submissions last year. I think I reviewed his collection, if I remember right. And this sector dial, we featured how many? I think we featured at least 4 sector dials over the course of the show. These were the top submissions, and this, by far is one of the winners in this space. It's so elegant, capturing the lights, the blue accents. It's one of my favorites in JLC's line. I think most of us can attest. The whole idea of a sector dial aesthetic. My favorite is probably the chronograph in this category. And then there's something saying, very fun fact, the very orchid in the background of the photo is showing buds again, will flower again in a few days. How cool is that? Has it been a full year since I featured this? I don't know. It's been such a long time, I'll tell you, it's so nice looking back at the old submissions and saving them and reacquainting with a lot of them again. It's such a beautiful photograph, honestly. Captured it so well, so nicely. Great story, background. You do also have the geophysic, if I remember right. And yeah, great skeletonized hands. There's so many little details about these pieces that I think deserve a lot more focus and attention. Right, moving on. And there's something, it's beautiful. How long have we been going for? Geez, 3 hours, 12 minutes. How am I going to carry on with this? I feel like this might come up to the 4-hour mark. Oh, no. David saying the Timeless Watch channel sent me here. Good grief. I need to send him an email because I'm flattered. Honestly, David, welcome. Pleasure having you here. These shows always just go in all sorts of peculiar directions. Okay, I'm going to jump next to Ori. I need to send Timeless Watch channel email to thank him. I've heard that I've been shouted out on his page, and I wish I watched more watch channels, but I try and escape from watches given the chance. Yeah, that's good. This came in from Ori. Now, Ori is I'm trying to remember his background. He's a paratrooper. He's served, I think, at least 3 tours in Syria, if I remember right. And he had an Explorer and a few other pieces, and he basically sold them all off for a 6-digit Submariner, no date, 114060. This shot, why I think it's so special is because it was taken in Syria, and you can see a nice bit of wear and tear, this watch being used in the field. SRP 777, as Samurai says. Samurai loves his Seikos. I should have featured one. Did I feature you? Samurai, I didn't feature any of your shots. I'm so sorry. Really am. I can thank Lenny. That's the alter ego, right? I need to watch some of his stuff. I tell you what, I'm so behind with watch channels. There's a new channel every week, honestly, and it's so difficult wearing his OCPs. Yeah. I don't know. Ari has been a part of these shows in the past. I'd love to reconnect with him. We've chatted over email quite a bit. He got engaged, and he picked up speaking of engagement, and he picked up a 114060 as his wedding watch, and that's him. Sold everything off basically, and that's him. I think he's retired. I don't know if he has retired, but I know he's a captain. He's a great guy, really great guy. So yeah, awesome story. I love this watch in its environment. I think we're going to have a look at another one in a moment. The next watch up, can you believe? Jumping from Ori to Ray, and now we're having a look at the SRP A21. This was so close to being a cover photo shot. This was the second contender next to the Tudor. Come back. Don't go away from me yet. Hold on. Magic Mouse is acting up on me now. How gorgeous is this photograph? Take it all in. Drink it in. This is like sunset. Cannot believe it. These watches go for like $200, right? I think they go for like $200. What I wanted to try and focus in on this show was that, yes, we have had a look at some seriously high-end pieces, but it doesn't mean that you can't get incredible wrist shots out of simple pieces like these. And I mean, PADI certification. I do love how Seiko, what is going on here? Oh no, looks like mouse is acting up. PADI certification and all of that tied to it as well. Oh geez, this one's 5. Wow, you see how bad I am with prices. Samurai, thank you. Such a gorgeous photo. This was so close. I can't tell you. I have to flip a coin half the time when choosing selections for cover shots. This one's a win. Such an awesome shot, as Reed says, just captures the watch perfectly. The lighting, the colors, matches the corner of his sleeve here. I didn't even notice the resolution. I mean, the level of detail in the photo as well. Yeah. I have a hard time shortlisting. As you can probably tell, this isn't even 100. I lie. It's probably like 114. But that's been a very hard time shortlisting the top of the submissions from last year. As you probably know, light blue Saturday is interesting. Yeah, it is. And this being not the Japanese domestic market, it's really nice. All sorts of little details. These watches are great fun. And I think I need to experience a Seiko. I'm really, 009, the Pharaon is a better watch. I want to have a greater look at Seiko. I actually made a list and I want to focus on Seiko dive watches soon. Okay, from Ray to Ricardo. Ricardo being another South African expat like yours truly. And this was his story. So he arrived in the UK in February this year with all that's going on. And if there's one person that knows about dealing with all of that, it's me. Ricardo, wherever you are, if you are watching these shows, if you are out there, reach out to me. I would love to help you in whatever way I can possibly do, because if I can, again, if there's one person who knows what it's like getting passports and visas and leave to remain and everything on top of that, yeah, I'm your guy. I've had a hell of a time over the last 5 years, ladies and gents. So yeah, Ricardo, I haven't seen you around lately, but if you'd like to reach out to me, by all means, I'd love to talk to you about what it's been like. It's such an adjustment moving to another country, I can tell you that much. Right, so this being the Seamaster Professional, I think it's a 36 mil. It's called the Japan Memento Marui, M-A-R-U-I Limited Edition. And it just caught me for the color is amazing. I love the bezel, the red accents on the dial, the batons instead of the rounded plots. It's so strange when you look at it as a Seamaster, you know. Jack saying, I was just in South Africa, almost wasn't able to get back to the UK. I tell you what, Jack, I've heard some horror stories. Not friends of mine in particular, but just acquaintances that have had, you know, your life can change quite quickly when all of a sudden your visa expires and you can't renew it because you're not in the country. And all the visa offices close and you can't even begin. I've been so blessed. That's all I can say. I think Mark P is one who knows my full story. But last year was New Year's Eve is a big celebration for me in my life, for the rest of my life. Had a hell of a time. Great looking watch. Coral dial, as Russell says. Yeah, I would say it is. I personally think the Planet Ocean's better. There are some really good examples out there, right? Great sizes like 39 mils. 42 mils, 44. They accommodate for so many people today. But yeah, Ricardo, again, if you are out there, please reach out to me. I'd love to chat more, give you some help if I can. Okay, moving next to Riley. Funny, we're still looking at Lungas. Oh, how cool is this? Saxonia Thin, 37 mil. How could this not be featured? Eesh. I think this is the only Saxonia Thin that we're going to have a look at. Rose gold, if I believe. Saxonia Thin, we've had a look at the 5196 Calatrava. We've seen 2 of them. We've seen a great big date Saxonia a second ago. This being in rose gold, 37 is the entry level in this category. But it's just so true to Lunga's aesthetic. It's just so subtle. It's the stealth wealth watch in the zone, right? It just looks, I mean, you could look at it from a distance and say that's $50. No one would know the difference. Only you know the difference. And I love it. I do love it for that reason. Yeah, there's a lot to it to enjoy. It's great because of its simplicity. We've looked at Moses today, Moses Pioneers and Endeavors and stuff. This is just another example in this category that just understands its own design language so well, with the lugs, the pocket watch aesthetic, the script. It just does what it needs to do. Typical German approach, and leaves it there, you know? Yeah, We're going to have a look at another longer one, I think. Actually, a few longers. Can you believe? This show, we've been running now for 3 hours, 20 minutes. I think I'm going to try and close it off at the 4-hour mark. I just need this last hit of coffee in my body. 3 hours already, AC, I know. I know. Trust me, I don't know how I do it. I don't know what it is. Some kind of gift, I guess, running a 4-hour show, non-stop talking. I don't know. It's great, though. I do enjoy them. I mean, I wouldn't be doing them if I didn't enjoy them, you know. Okay, hitting the coffee last time. It's a great piece. This Saxonia Thin is an absolute gem. Plain longer design is like a mantra repeated to clear the mind. Yeah, it is. I fully agree. I fully agree. There's so much to, you know, it's very zen, right? You can sit down and just, that's what I'm actually getting out of the field watches that I'm wearing. This little Smith's W10, it's not something that pulls your attention back to it all the time. You just know that you have something great, that it's easy for time telling, that it's there and it serves its purpose. But it's not something that shouts and needs to. It's meditative. Can you actually use that word? Meditative. This is what happens when I have whiskey and coffee. Sometimes the brain goes into a different zone. You can just admire it for its yin and yang. Okay, last glass of water. You guys are great. I need to break my record, 5 hours AC. I plan on never doing that because that is just ridiculous. How anyone can sit and listen to me talk for 3+ hours, I will never understand. You guys are the real heroes at the end of the day. Right. Riley, amazing watch. I can't remember when you sent this to me. We did speak about Monzas earlier on, and Rob sent in a shot of this. Actually won an award. It's a Tag Heuer Monza recreation of a classic. And what I liked so much about this shot is that it's got the Formula One background. Excuse me. Need to take a breath. Formula One background. This is the Red Bull team, Aston Martin sponsorship. I have lost track with Formula One so much. I don't know what is going on. I don't know who's supplying what engine with who. I don't think Aston supplies. Was it Aston Martin? Help me out, ladies and gents. I have lost all touch with Formula One. It's not fun for me anymore. I'd much prefer watching Formula 2 or Formula 3. But as far as Heuers go, this is amazing. The Monza very much was almost like Heuer saying, okay, we're going to take the Monaco and just make it more relatable. And they just tightened up the quirks that they didn't really enjoy. Led Zeppelin, please help me with that reference, Mark. I don't know what I said. Honda, they're using Honda engines now. Really? Crazy. I have a beauty, and that's why I love me so much. Thank you, Megan. I don't know why everyone loves me. Lots of people hate me too. Don't get me wrong. I try to be as genuine as possible, but you know it's difficult. So they're now using Honda engines. I can't believe it. That's crazy. So yeah, these Monzas were kind of like the gradual evolution from the Monaco. They did other variations too. I'm drawing a blank. Heuer did a whole load of track-related names to their watches, but this is amazing. I think it's a PVDK, sorry, and they won an award in this space. I can't remember for what exactly. They also did 4-hour shows. It's a pulse. Yes, it's got a pulsation dial. I mean, how nice is that? And a tachymeter. I don't know how they managed that. Oh, I see. That is great. So you can actually count the pulsations up to this point where the red. That's brilliant execution. And then you have a tachymeter carrying on through. I haven't seen that before. That is nice. Watch Champion saying, I've got a talent. I've got a talent for talking bull. Yeah, that's what I would say, Watch Champion. I think I'm just flitting around subjects and talking about whatever comes to the mind. Hans saying Prost Senna days were good. Ooh. You know, also loved the Schumacher days. That was my time. That's when I began. That was my age. Those were amazing times too. I mean, the V12s and the V10s and yeah, Prost and Senna days. And then, yeah, of course, many of us weren't around during the time of the other big names back in the day. Amazing. Formula One history. Right. So Heuer Monza, awesome watch. I think it looks so good on the racing strap. I love the tie-in with the Red Bull team in the background. Moving next to Russell. Russell, you're actually going to be featured on the show. Can you believe? We've featured so much from Russell in the past. James Hunt, Mark, yes, that's what I was going to say. James Hunt and Niki Lauda. So we have, Russell always has his segment at the end of the shows just to cap us off and to finish things up. Let's feature. This was one of the more recent shots that he sent in. I think it was last week, and it's the only Nautilus that we've featured. I think it's such a beautiful photo. Such a beautiful photo. Where to begin? So it's the 40th anniversary, and the way they do the dials on these, the way they do the diamonds on these dials, should I say, effortless. It's Patek in the purest form. It's white gold. Excellent shot, catches the light so nicely, and you can see why it's such a charmer in this space. This one in particular, lots. Yeah, Julian, it ain't a cheap watch for sure. Jeffrey saying thanks for featuring. My absolute pleasure. A bit early for your time zone. Those three pieces, I don't know where they came from. It's been a long time since I've seen them. They had to make the show. I love that. I don't even know if that's the right word. The triage of the three just worked so well. Seriously cool. Andreas saying Honda have supplied engines to Red Bull until next season. From next season, they will be using Aston Martin engines. And who else was supplying Honda engines and had such a bad time? I think it was the Honda team themselves. No, McLaren Honda. Wow. That's one of the drivers that I feel for is Fernando Alonso. He has been dealt such a bad hand. Those engines just blew up like crazy. Yeah. Forbin mentioning Hoyer reissues maybe due to Tag wishing upon the dislike of the Hoyer. Yeah, I agree. Nice cappuccino. Yeah, we're having a good time. I can't believe you guys are still with me, and we're 3.5 hours in here. It's just nuts. Nice cappuccino. Nice watch. I love the presentation. Excellent shot. And of course, we have to feature the piece that was used for the content page. This is the World Time 5231 R 5231 R. Did I get that right? I hope I did. With a Cloisonne dial. I'm learning here. I'm slowly but surely learning this. Someone help me. What are you talking about? The effects of governments on engineering? Yes, I mean that's one thing. 5131. Damn it! When am I ever going to get it right, Russell? Is it because of the oh, you know what? No, I'm not a hero. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much. Yeah, guys chatting about their ages and everything. Yeah, I'm a youngster in this space still, ladies and gents, but it's an absolute pleasure being here. It's a 5131, and I said a 5231. I was close. Nice piece. Really nice piece. Got to say, the presentation's excellent. We get to see it in the light, get to appreciate the dial. I only featured 3 of Russell's watches, which is difficult to do. We've had a look at a lot of stuff from you in the past, Russell, as we can all appreciate. And you spent 3 years waiting for this watch, I think, to be made. Thank you for that comment, Megan. Being called a hero, something I've never been called before in my life. I can honestly say that. Actually, it's a 5131R001. Okay, now you're just showing off, Russell. Thank you. Thank you. Next up, and this is the last submission that I saved from you. You had many on offer, but I saved the Datograph Lumen, not illuminated. I thought, why not just keep it natural? And this, I don't know where the shot was taken. Looks like it was in the moors somewhere. Going out for a trek in the mud with your Datograph, as you do, right? It's nice seeing the Lumen not illuminated for a change, illuminated. And it's an awesome piece. I think the Datograph is a real win. I've said this a couple of times. When this piece was released, I had it as my wallpaper. It's a wallpaper watch. It's a charmer. Amazing that these chronographs can be fully illuminated. I don't know why more brands aren't doing it. Eggsbury Gardens. I'm new to the South, Russell. You're going to have to give me a bit of a tour. I don't know about those details, but yeah, it's just great. I imagine it's a national site of some kind. Great hiking watch. It is, right? You can time, and it has a pulsation dial too, so you can time your pulses while you're going, I think. It's fun. It's so fun. We're not done yet. 3.5 hours in, and we've got about 10 more submissions. Still some amazing stuff to come. Russell, you're always a gent. Thank you for sending the watches that you have over the months. It's been great connecting with you, and yeah, look forward to doing more this year. Please, God willing. Right, next from Shri. Now, I would fall in a bog with that watch on. I mean, right? Just imagine. Oh, imagine sending this watch in for service and saying, yeah, I fell into a muddy river. Can you imagine the looks you'd be getting from the people there at the Lunga store, the Lunga boutique, the watchmakers? Can you imagine the Lunga watchmakers taking this thing apart, and oh, that's heartbreaking. Now, at the beginning of the show, we looked at Ming, and we looked at a Ming movement. We've jumped now to Shri, who sent us a very early shot. This was one of the first, I think it was the actual first ever cover photos for Wrist Shot Week, 20 episodes ago. And this is called the Ming Copper, reference 17.06. Ming it's a brand that's really, I was going to say something about this brand. We were talking about brand identities and how they've been able to define themselves. And it's just so clear how, brands like Moza are doing so well, and other names, Laurent Ferrier and what's another good one? FP Journe. They all have their own aesthetics, their own styles around these models. And the Ming case is very true to, they've done it with all their pieces. Even their dive watch adopts the same lug format. Polishing throughout. Ming Copper. I think it uses an ETA-based movement of some kind, if I'm not wrong. Maybe someone can help me. But it's just such a character. They attack the sector dial in a very unique way. Or got to find some better words for unique. But again, simple things like how they've branded Ming at the base of the dial. It doesn't obstruct your view. It's not excellent design. It feels so modern in its own way. I stumbled on the Ming Diver a couple of weeks back and was blown away by how good it looks. Surprising how a dress watch, a predominantly dress watch manufacturer, can then just jump on something else like a diver and do such a good job. Yeah. And for all of you who are still here watching the show, God, I can't thank you enough. I hope you're enjoying yourself. I'm sure most of you are probably winding down in the world at the moment. So from Shri, this, again, I have to emphasize, this being one of the first cover photos we ever featured 20 or so episodes ago. It's amazing looking back. Again, I'm getting all these flashbacks to how archaic, was that the right word? Archaic the shows used to be, with bad audio equipment, and it's all guesswork until it works properly. Lugs are great. Yep, like mentioned. Moving to Teng next. Now, there was another Nomos that was shortlisted, I think, but this one to me stood out pretty well. This is the Neomatic. This got some serious reviews when it came out. People were a bit concerned by how this watch worked exactly. And I do talk about Nomos being a brand that's kind of, I don't want to say anal retentive with the way that they approach their designs a lot of the time. Very restrained, very German, I can agree. But the arrangement here it's so different. It's a racing styled watch. They've got this Speedmaster arrangement to it. I think it's 40 mils. I don't quote me on that. Small accents, like this, like what I want to try and say is, most of the time with their approaches, they are very hardcore with how they attack it, but they do have some playful times too. And this is an example of a very playful watch in this space. I don't even know what the hour and the minute hand is. I'm guessing that this is the minute hand and this is the hour hand. I'm not wrong. This all glows in the dark, but nothing else does. So how you tell the time is very different. I don't know how they did it here. It's weird. It's got a deep dish dial to it though, which is quite nice. You see how it flows in. The funny thing is, it reminds me of those fitness watches out there. What's a good name? Withings, Twinings, what the hell? What do they call it? I think it's called Withings or Withings. It has this smartwatch kind of feel to it. You'd imagine that this could actually trap your steps, don't you think? That's the immediate thing that comes to mind when I look at this. But it's nice to see Nomos having some fun. They do some good stuff with the club and other models there. Nice piece. Okay. Teng, thank you for this. Did I really just call this a smartwatch step counter? Love it. Okay, moving on next to Tetley, coming close to the end of the show. Thankfully, Tetley with a Speedmaster Mark II. Now, in the beginning of the show, we saw a racing dial variant, the modern take. I loved featuring this because it's, a beautiful age to the dial. This model has been worn. It's spent its life being worn, which is good. In great condition still. And Mark IIs, they're getting a lot of attention. I think they are getting appreciated by a lot more people because as we've seen, the standard professional has been removed from the line, and now sticking to the Mark II is something that we can maybe jump on. They're going for some good prices too. I would recommend giving the option. Size-wise, I think they are pretty large for most wrists, so I can understand why he put it on the leather strap. Maybe it didn't come with a standard bracelet, but it's good to see these classical stylings. I feel that this watch addresses the professional instrument a lot more than the original does. It's a lot more streamlined, and when we talk about a watch that's built to be an instrument, this taking its inspirations from the Alaska project and all of that history, does an excellent job. Could be worn over a sleeve very nicely, that the bezel is not exposed. I mean, that's one it's one of the failure points of the standard professional. I'm not saying failure as in design-wise, but if you are going to hit something, the bezel will be the first to take it. And having it recessed inside the dial and out of the way, nice. It's logical, Yeah, it's great. And I see Megan is plugging. I haven't even mentioned the store. Megan, thank you so much for plugging the store. I haven't even mentioned it. It's in the description of the video if you'd like to have a look. I've had a good time. Let's move on to the next piece. Love this shot, Tetley. Thank you. Tennessee Mike, where are you, Tennessee Mike? This had to be featured as one of the best shots of the year. Absolutely adore it. Seiko Monster, poolside. What an amazing, the lighting, you captured it so well. I haven't spoken about the store at all. I would love to get some feedback from you. If anyone has bought from the store via email, if the quality is good, if I need to improve in a few places, what you recommend, what you think, I'm all very open to feedback. I took about 2 months to 2 weeks off from the page to work on about 12 separate designs of various watches to put on hoodies and t-shirts. And it was a lot of fun, I gotta say, getting a bit more creative, a bit more industrial. So yeah, if you're interested, it's in the description of this video if you'd like to have a look at some of the approaches. Definitely going to plan on moving forward and looking at more diverse pieces. Yeah, it was a good time. I did enjoy it. But again, feedback would be great from you all. If you have bought anything, if you would like to send me an email and just tell me how it went and how the system worked and how Teespring was as well, how they treated you as a customer. I'd be very interested in knowing because, I have a direct line to them. I can always make complaints and get more suggestions. And so it is. Feedback, I think, is very important. So the Seiko Jade Monster, as mentioned in the chat, yes, it's a monster. It really is. And I did a video about the original Monster and its open mouth aesthetic, the fully steel bezel and all those aspects. It's a great watch. I think it's a lot of fun. One of the best in this professional category, I think. Don't you? We've got a Cyclops lens, the typical, call it the samurai style. I don't know what they would call this, arrowhead style hand. Someone can maybe help me there. Foreman, did you leave a point? Sorry. Nice do design with multiple dial sketches on one shirt. Yes. Oh, for sure I can do that, Foreman. Absolutely. And I have to emphasize that the designs, this was not taken off the internet. Every single sketch was done individually, about 12 to 15 layers of lines put together to get it to arrange. I would share the idea with all of you here, but then I'm sure lots of other people would jump on the bandwagon and do similar. So all I can say is that each sketch took a good hour, 2 hours, 3 hours to put together. And they're of all our favorite watches. I'll talk about it some more now. Awesome watch. Now I'm going to move on next to Tom. I don't know which Tom this is, but we have another Tom coming up in a moment. A few more Toms, I think. This is a Chronostop. We've spoken about Chronostops a lot in the past, and this is an old submission too. This is a really old model. Old submission from months and months back. I haven't seen this in ages. They did some good stuff. I feel like this is actually a screw down crown for the function of the Chronos. No, it's not. It's not. It's a brightly polished. Looks like there was some knurling to it. The Chronostop basically lets you time 1 minute intervals, if I'm not wrong. There's no other way to determine that. The whole idea is to time flight patterns as you're about to take off on the runway. I think that was the initial story, the inspiration behind it. But you can't not enjoy the orange hand, the 1655 minute hand and hour hand, Seamaster script, the details on the dial. There's so many things to enjoy here, for sure. The swatch inspiration. Is that so, Nate? I'd like to know more about that. When the hands hit the 12, it looks like a space rocket. Ah. There's lots of little things. There are lots of quirks to these. Oh, we're talking about the monster. Yes. Didn't I mention that in the monster video that I did? There's some crazy little quirks. Talking about the Seiko. Yeah, I remember that. God, that brings back memories. Jeez. I've made so many damn videos. I made like 110 videos last year. What was I smoking? And yeah, it gets a bit fuzzy when you forget. Yeah, bracelet would fit better. It's a nice looking piece. I really do enjoy it. You're doing a good job. Still, what, 40 minutes into the fourth hour, should I say? Okay, next up. So this is from Tom. Great looking piece. To Thomas G. Now, I think if I remember this story right, as you can see, he's cycling. And the second he took this photo, he went into the back of a car. If I remember there, I don't know the full extent of the story. This might have been the wrong watch, but if I'm remembering correctly, that's how he sent the email to me. So this is a 5508. We've had a few of these over the course of this last year. And I think this one was actually for sale. He might have sold it. I don't know what's going on in the chat. Chasing the Dragon. I don't know. So yeah, talking about the design of the page again, what else could I say? The pieces that I've incorporated in, we've got Submariners, we've got Black Bays, Speedmasters, AP Royal Oak, 1655, my Seamaster 57, Explorer, Modern Explorer. There's so much. I don't know how I did it. Over the course of 2 weeks, I just sat down, lots of coffee, and just drilled out like 12 different layouts of pieces. Individual designs on a hoodie or whatever would be great. I'm going to do that. Thank you for that suggestion, Forbin, really. So yeah, rivet bracelet 5508. I think the watch is like 38, 37 mils. Nice looking piece. Great arrangements. Really nice placements and stunning watch. Great condition too for what it is. Anyway, we've had a look at enough of these watches. I'm definitely droning on for way too long. Got a few more. Tillman, if you're in the chat, we're looking at your Lunga One next. The Lunga One. That's what I love so much about this story. So this is from 1995. It's the original. It's the solid case back. And it's just an awesome watch. It's the epitome of a Lunga One. If you really wanted one in your life, what a life that Rolex must have had. Yeah, for sure. The 5508. It's a really cool story here when you think back to how those watches have developed over time. Yeah, got to say, yellow gold accents. It's a beautiful model, and you can understand why I chose this shot. It's such a clean arrangement for what this watch is. The size and everything, yeah, it's just gorgeous. Absolutely stunning. Yellow gold highlights everywhere. Also, just dig the Romans, and just remember, this is the watch that saved the brand. That's what I love the most. It's the Guilloche sleeve. I love that mark. That is so funny. This is the watch that did it. 1995, and they launched this. Lunga just went catapulted into a whole new realm. And ever since then, they've been going from strength to strength, and now they're just killing it. I mean, they're doing triple split chronographs that are perpetual calendars on top of, it's just, Russell knows the story. Tillman, if you're with us, I hope you're still loving the hell out of this piece, as you should. Absolute gem. Right. 5 more submissions to go. Okay. Next up to Time Traveler. Now, Time Traveler came out of nowhere and sent in a couple of shots. One of it, he travels a lot. So by the username. He sent in a modern Pepsi GMT and a couple of other great shots. This one to me did stand out a lot. We've had a look at the exact reference earlier on. It's the reference 5205G, blue dial. And the photograph itself, the quality of it and everything else, just exceptional. It's always nice. Time Traveler, if you're out there in the ether, I'd love to get some more shots from you one day. It'd be great to hear more about your collection and the pieces that you pick up. I do know that he travels a lot. That's pretty much his entire life is traveling. So the watches that he has, many revolve around annual calendars and GMT complications. So yeah, talk about the best of the best for these shows. Don't have to necessarily be the highest of horology pieces, but now I'm thinking about how am I going to end the show. We've got 4 more pieces. They're all sports watches. I know. Tom Austin, if you're in the chat, your watch is going to end the show because it deserves to be there. Let's jump to Watch and Pray. If you're here with us, Watch and Pray. The desaturated look, Forbin. Yeah. It's a great looking shot. It really is nice. Watch and Pray. If you're with us, I think I did see you earlier. We haven't featured a Hulk Submariner yet. We featured the Kermit. We haven't featured a Sermit. This, to me, is probably one of the best representations of the Hulk in natural light. There's so much to this piece. Who has the Instagram? Sorry, I'm not even looking at the chat. Megan's saying he has an Instagram account. Is this Forbin? Or is this Watch and Pray? I don't know. The Bruce Banner. That's awesome. So, I mean, how gorgeous does this watch look in this light, in this setting? It looks almost emerald green. The bezel just looks sublime. And I think it was an overcast day. He was in Greece at the Parthenon, which I also thought was a nice setting. I mean, it just makes for an excellent shot. We have featured so many Hulks over the course of last year. So seeing it in space, yes, okay, it's awesome. Welcome, Watch and Pray. You're still here with us. This is a beautiful shot. It just captures the watch so well. I'm glad you made it to the end of the series. You were definitely featured for the right reasons. The main reason why I like it so much is because it was an overcast day, and we get to see this dial and this bezel with all the gunk on it and everything else. I think we get to see it I would love if this watch was this color, even flat in this color, like an emerald finish. This to me would make this watch sing even more so than. Yeah, sadly, it's discontinued and everyone's going ballistic for them, but makes the Hulk look great. Yeah, I agree, Megan. I think it does. It stands out so nicely. Also, just love the holiday trip. Okay, so that's Watch and Pray. Thank you for setting in Athens. Yep. And we're going to move on. Who should we feature next? Okay, Turkey Vulture. Haven't seen you in a long time, Turkey Vulture. But he sent in, and I feel like this also became a cover photo at one point, but this left-hand drive shot of the Pelagos is probably the best I've ever had on the show. Probably ever will be. Haven't seen Turkey Vulture featured in a long time, but this to me, ooh. Look at the text. This is also like 20 megabytes in size. So we get to see all the little textures and details on the dial. Yes, we've seen a left-hand drive. Neil and Turkey Vulture sent in the same watch. It's amazing how some of the same watches get all the airtime, you know. And Mr. C says, I've always liked the Hulk, now I'll never have one. Oh, it's sad, hey? It's sad how, the demand. It really bugs me. I mentioned earlier on, for those who maybe haven't caught the beginning part of the show, I was talking about how I got into the hobby too late, and now buying Rolex is kind of a lost art, you know. Anyway, stunning shot. I mean, we get to appreciate the red accent on the date, the Pelagos highlight there, and there's so many things to focus in on. 2 o'clock is popping. Neferion says, yeah, it is. We're getting close. Yeah, that's a lot of megabytes. I can tell you, Mark, some of these submissions, 23 megabytes in size. I mean, when the 5K Mac starts spooling up, that's when you know you have a problem. I like that watch shot, muted color. Yeah, but the muted color of the Hulk is very cool. Okay, we have two more submissions, and we have a Daytona, and we have an outlier that I actually recommended to Tom Austin. If he is here with us, you're going to be the closing off gent for the show. So first off, this is the second Daytona we're featuring, coming in from Tobias. And I mean, there's so much to appreciate here. The color of the sleeves, the reflections, the light quality, everything there. You get to see this watch in a much purer sense, I think. And I think Mark in the chat talking about songs stuck in your head. Mark picked up this watch and got rid of it almost instantly because of its price, which I think is kind of sad, but also something that's important. You know, kill your darlings at the end of the day, right? Junior, thank you for the super chat. I saw another one. Hold on a second. Have I been missing? Thomas, thank you for the super chat. Happy New Year again. God, how many times have we wished everyone Happy New Year? It's great. Thank you, Thomas, so much. Yeah, we've been having a good time. These shows are always a blast. I can't believe coming up to the 4-hour mark. We're still going. We are still going. So Benjamin's saying, I just started this hobby, but Lord willing, I'll live another 40 years. So I'll save up and buy Rolex because we only live once. And that's a good philosophy to go by. At the end of the day, I think everyone should own a Rolex. Not for the hype, not for the sake that everyone else has one, but they're like Levi's jeans, man. It's just, it's an identity of a brand that has never been touched by anyone else. There's something about how they have, positioned themselves as a brand that is untouchable, and it deserves to be celebrated for that reason. You don't need to buy the sports watch. You can buy the Perpetual. You can buy the Datejust. Something about it always is going to speak back to you at the end of the day, I think. Even if you aren't a fan of the brand, there's something quite universal. I mean, it's a universal name today. And yeah, it's great. So talking about this piece, Panda Aesthetic, we've spoken about them enough. Come next week, I will be featuring a video all about the Daytona and about the Speedmaster together. That should be fun. I'm sure I'll be getting a lot of hatred for that. Mark saying he didn't flip, bought the premium and sold for the same price. Ooh, good job. Good job. Yeah, I mean, they do ask for a hell of a price nowadays. Hey, it's scary. Richard's saying, man, you're talking the truth. Yeah, I mean, that's what alcohol does. Hey, confidence juice. Also, vino veritas. I mean, it's whiskey, so it's not... What's the Latin for whiskey? Still, awesome shot. Love it. Autumn colors. We've got nice background. It's a stunning shot. But the final shot, I think, is quite a great way to cap off the show, because I recommended this watch to Tom along with many others. And it's a reissue of a diver, a classic, one that we haven't seen, but deserves. I love that. Mark saying alcohol is a loudmouth soap. That's good. Good. So, Glasuta CQ, this is the 58, I feel like. The 68, sorry. The reissue of the 68 on the bracelet. Tom has this piece, and he absolutely adores it. I think this was just when he bought the watch, too. And if I remember right, Tom is based in Japan. He's been having such... 3 years. How awesome is that? Yeah, Tom, you're capping off the show. How nice is that, eh? It's so nice that the watch still speaks to you and that you're still enjoying it. It's... something about this area of reissue watches. I've spoken about it so many times before, but there's just some nuance to them that you can latch onto. 69. Okay, I was close. Thanks, Tom, for that. There's so much you can attach, because the designs of these times, you just don't see much anymore, And I love that these aesthetics are true to the brand's identity. It's not a brand just stealing elements from other parts. We could say that, nowadays, I mean, looking back at the vintage pieces, many did just take pieces from parts bins. But in this context, this is just so true to its original and scaled appropriately with some modern improvements like ceramic bezels and great movement. And we're talking about Glasuta here. Proper watchmaking on top of it with this awesome... I don't even know what they call these dials. Like they're California dials, but not really. Open sixes. You got a broad arrow there and a date on the side. It's quirky, peculiar, fun, awesome diver. Yeah, I've really put this on par with the Seamaster 57. I would happily own this watch and the Seamaster 57 given the chance. They fall into that same category, Captain, my captain. Hans, that's so good. You guys are great fun. And speaking of which, AA is mentioning CQ greater than the sub. I feel they're so different. I mean, what's nice about these is that they are, bespoke next to watches like the subs and the standard Seamaster Professionals out there. They don't make as many of these, which is something else that I latched on with the Seamasters and the Railmasters and all the the variants. There aren't many of them out there. So you feel like you're getting something a bit more special in the space. And another thing is they're just not attention pulling. No one knows what this thing is. And that's cool. I mean, that just says that your watches more than most. And it just adds to the enjoyment factor of this hobby and everything else. Carpe diem. Yeah, I'm a fan of the Seamaster. Yeah, Tom, it's a great watch. Yeah. Jeez, we had a good time, man. I can't believe these shows can run for like nearly 4 hours and there's still like 170 of you watching. Okay, before we hit the 4-hour mark, I am going to close the show off. I think we've definitely exhausted the exercise. If I was to focus in on one watch that I think stands kind of head and shoulders above most, that photo to me is just hard to describe. It's artwork, real artwork. I don't know if Bjornar is still here. Probably put him to sleep by now. But this to me is a gem. A serious gem of a shot. The GMT ceramic spring drive, amazing. New record. What's the record? Watch Champion, I think the record is something like 4 hours, 5 minutes, if I remember right. And that was thanks to Philips and all their rare and attractive pieces. We had a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, I cannot thank you again for submitting these watches to the show. Again, none of you submitted these recently. These have all been sent over the course of months, the course of last year. The best 100, the most outstanding watches of the last year. And I'm moving into 2021. We're going to try this again. Maybe. Who knows? We'll see. 4 hours 10. Is that the case, Eric? God, I'm definitely not going to try and beat that record. I think it's nice to stay under. The trick is to stay under 4 hours, just to that point where it's 3 hours. It's more digestible when it's 3 hours 55. You know what I mean? Yeah. Ladies and gents, it's been a good time. What did I say? Again, I was going to mention again. What was I going to say? There was something else on my mind. I don't know. It's slipping. Watches of Knightsbridge. Yeah. It's been a good time. It really has. I didn't know how the show was actually going to work because it's nothing recent. It's just recapping all the old stuff. But yeah, ladies and gents, don't know how we're going to cap these off next year. This year. God, what am I saying? I'm going to close this off. I have to. Did play around with the layout a bit more to make it a bit cleaner. I don't know if it worked. Stop screen share and what else? I want to address you all just again. Thank you again so much for last year and for being a part of these shows and for contributing and for the fun we have around this. I don't know. I'm in a funny space at the moment because I'm bordering on this area of watch fatigue, needing to take a break. Like I would love to take a full month off, just completely disappear. But at the same time, I need to be consistent. I need to keep telling myself to be consistent, right? So I'm in the space where I'm making lists of all kinds of video topics. There's some good stuff in the pipeline. And that's really the aim, is to be consistent, focus in on the design and get a lot more content that's design focused out instead of just talking about generalized topics. It's been a good time. This channel has gone so well, and I'm so grateful. I'm so humbled by you all, really. Thank you for Megan and Thomas for plugging the store. Again, in the description of this video, if you'd like to have a look, it's all there. But yeah, it's been an absolute blast. Everyone who's sending messages, Grand Shoko, thanks, Perry. Yeah, you guys are a blast. Thomas, thank you so much for the super chat, man, really. I hope you all have an excellent sleep come Sunday and are nursing those hangovers as much as possible. And before we hit the 4-hour mark, I have to say thank you all again. Kevin saying mucho value, a ton of value. That's a lot of fun. Ladies and gents, thank you so much for being here again. Look after yourselves, and I will see you in the next one. Thursday next week, there'll be a video. Megan, I plan on doing some traveling. That is for sure, 100%. So come Thursday, there'll be a video about the Speedmaster and the Daytona, which is going to bring up a lot of hackles, which I can't wait. Let's get the discourse going. Lots of love, ladies and gents. Look after yourselves. Enjoy this holiday season, and let's hit 2021 strong.